Paris 2024
with Kelly Kitts
from BBC Radio 5 Live.
Hello and welcome to La Défense Arena for a big night of swimming finals. We'll also round up a very successful day for Team GB, who've won their first gold medals of the Games. The first came with team eventing, followed by Tom Pidcock in the men's cross-country mountain biking. A very dramatic finish there. Silver for Tom Daley and Noah Williams in the 10 metres synchro. That's Daley's fifth Olympic medal. Adam Burgess also took silver in the men's canoe singles. And back at the equestrian, Laura Collett won the bronze in the individual eventing. Over the next hour, we'll be live at the Bercy Arena as well for the conclusion of the men's gymnastics final. And watching that one for us alongside Lewis Smith, it's Eleanor Oldroyd.
Just coming to the end of the fifth rotation, the final chance for GB to secure themselves a medal will be in their floor routine. They are currently lying 2 points behind Ukraine, so they're going to have to pull out some amazing scores on the floor if they're going to stay in third place. But we've got an exciting 20 minutes or so coming up here in the Bercy Arena.
Ellie, thank you very much. Elsewhere tonight, super heavyweight fighter Delicious Ori in action in the boxing. Carlos Alcaraz is on court at Roland Garros. And later, Great Britain's women take on the USA in Rugby 7's quarter-final at 8:30. With me at the pool tonight, some big races to come, including the GB men going for a medal in the 200 metres freestyle. Alongside me, full-time world champion Karen Pickering, Olympic bronze medalist Steve Parry. Guiding us through it all, Alistair Bruce Ball. Ali, I think it's just worth, while we have time this evening, to reflect on this sort of slightly calmer moment in the pool, because as people will have heard us describing, this is an indoor rugby arena normally. It's been split right down the middle across where the halfway line would be. Behind us, it's the warm-up pool. The swimmers make their way through a tunnel. If they want to warm up there, they can. But they can make their way through the tunnel here to the main Olympic pool. And there's just this kind of very relaxed, calm moment for them to come. And the swimming, when you see swimmers at this elite level just warming up in the pool, just doing laps. There's something very rhythmic and soothing about it.
It's graceful and it's peaceful and it's smooth, and I think the thing that strikes me, Kelly, and it's the same with a lot of these sporting events that we go to, be they Olympic Games or major football tournaments or the Open Championship Golf where I was a couple of weeks ago. You know, when you walk in one of these arenas for the first time, and it's the first time I've been in an Olympic swimming arena, it blows you away. A lot of these swimmers, obviously, week to week, month to month, it's not everything is in front of 17,000 people with all the sort of Olympic paraphernalia around it, but it is the same routine. You're going through the same warm-ups and practice sessions and whatever, and I think we are probably a little bit more struck by it than they are. I, like you though, I really enjoy this sort of gradual build in atmosphere here as the seats start to fill up, certainly when the French swimmers get involved, and we do have a couple involved tonight. That section up high away to our left-hand side, which is definitely set out specifically for French fans, because you can see the tricolour sort of colours on the backs of all of those seats, which you don't see anywhere else in the arena. Then certainly for the finals, sort of the announcement, the individual announcement of each swimmer to bring them out, give them their introduction, that lovely sort of pause and silence before a final gets underway, and then the whole place goes nuts. And it's you know, if you've never been, I recommend coming. It's great.
That area where the French supporters are as well is also where the stadium announcer is based. You'll hear her tonight, and she's accompanied by Frige, who's the Olympics mascot, and they sort of get the crowd going, and they play a lot of, you know, effectively it's a sort of a French equivalent of Sweet Caroline to get all the crowd singing along and getting involved in the atmosphere. When the swimmers, Karen, are out here and they're warming up, they do have the warm-up pool behind us. Is there an obligation to warm up in one or the other, or is it just down to personal choice?
No, it's personal choice. I think most swimmers, certainly when they're starting off the meet, they want to swim in the racing pool. They'll have had the opportunity to do 1 or 2 training sessions in here leading up to the games as well, but they would choose to do it. The pool is usually colder. The racing pool is usually colder than the warm-up, warm-down pool. So sometimes they choose to, once they've done a few warm-ups and got used to the pool, choose to use the other one. And of course, after their races, they will use the warm-down pool. And you know, even after a 100-metre race, they could be in for 1,500 metres or so, recovering from the swim. So while they're doing, you see the kind of 50 metres or 100 metres of a race, but actually around that, they'll have another 3,000 metres of warming up and warming down as well.
And a couple of days into the meet, Steve, and a lot of these swimmers will have been in the Olympic pool already. They'll have had heats, they'll have had semi-finals before they take place, before their finals take place. But is it also about getting a feel for the pool? Because as a non-competitive swimmer, you would think once you're in the water, it's all pretty much the same. But that's not the case either.
It's funny you mentioned the pool. A number of the coaches got their pants in a twist over this slow pool scenario. I'm actually going to go in the mix zone in a bit and see if I can grab some of the coaches, because I'm hearing all sorts of rubbish. Let's come back to that later, but particularly, say it quietly, Americans behind us, they've never shut up about this pool being slow, but I think it's because the Aussies have got off to a better start than they have. But let's do some digging on that. But tonight, Kelly, I'm not concerned, but I want to see Britain making a move. We've had a couple of missed opportunities here. Men's 4x1 earlier in the Max Litchfield. I mean, Petey took the headlines yesterday, and rightly so. Max Litchfield last night finished fourth in the Olympic Games for the third time. It's the worst position to come as a swimmer. My heart really went out for him. But we've got 4 opportunities of medals tonight. I think 2 would probably be what we would expect. We want a return tonight of 2 medals, so I want to see that.
We will move on to tonight really quickly, but just before we do, Karen, now that the dust has settled on last night, that silver medal from Adam Peaty, the fact that he was so emotional afterwards, he said the emotion was, he said, what it took to get there rather than disappointment and missing out on silver. Now we know that he's tested positive for COVID. He said he felt it a little bit in his throat yesterday, and he's sort of deteriorated overnight. How do we reflect on how Team GB performed in the pool last night?
Well, I think, they had a difficult day, that's for sure, because people were willing Max Litchfield on. I mean, it's tough to come fourth. I remember when he came fourth in Rio, we had a number of swimmers come fourth. It's tough to repeat that. But my goodness, nobody wants anyone to do that for a third time. So I think it was a really difficult day. He's a popular swimmer. He's had a massive resurgence. He broke the British record. It was a great swim. So, he can't be reflecting on, I could have done better, which is great. And I think also interestingly, there was so much pressure and spotlight on Adam, and would he be able to do it? Him being here even, regardless of where he came, that I think actually there might be a little bit of, okay, that's done now. Now we can get on with the rest of the Olympics, because so much of the build-up has been about that story. Had he been at the end of the week, I think that tension would have just been going on and on and on. But I think we can park all that now and get on with the racing. And we had some really good semi-final swims. We had some good swims this morning through to the final. So I think we've had some real solid performances, and Steve's right, we want to see them now translate into results.
Yeah, some of those times have looked really encouraging ahead of the finals that we're going to see this evening.
Yeah, I mean, just like, Ollie Morgan making it through to the final of the 100 metres backstroke, there's his Olympic debut, and Gareth Evans in the 100 metres breaststroke. I think there's something like 8 tenths between, if you take off the fastest swimmer, the next 7, there's only 7 or 8 tenths between all 7 of them. So it's a very, very tight race, and she is in the mix in her first Olympic Games. So we've had some really good swims from some of the rookies on the team, and now I want to see them make the next step up, because they've got an opportunity, and so really want to see them make the most of it tonight.
It is inches, really fine margins we're dealing with here. All I'm saying is we've been on the wrong side of the margins. Adam Peaty came second in a race by 2/100ths of a second, a tenth of a second for Max Litchfield missing out. They've been on the wrong side of the touches, and I want to see us getting some touches tonight going our way, because these races are so close. The 2 that Karen just quoted, the 100 back for men, the 100 breast for women, they have got chances, and I hope that they're turning up tonight with medals in their sights.
And of course, as always, it's not just about the Brits in the pool. There's some genuine superstars, and one in the making as well, in 17-year-old Summer McIntosh, who goes in the individual medley. That's in about 45 minutes' time. We'll get a chance to hear her, to see her, Aina Titmus and Molly O'Callaghan, both of Australia, racing against each other in the women's 200 metres freestyle. There's loads to look forward to, and so much to build up to, and we'll bring you all of it on 5 Live. We're going to head over to the Bercy Arena as well. GB's GB's men are in action in the team finals, watched by Olympic bronze and silver medalist Lewis Smith alongside Eleanor Oldroyd.
Yes, Kelly, we're into the final rotation here with GB finishing up their competition on floor. As things stand going into this final phase of the team competition, China out in front, way out in front, with Japan in second place. United States, who have had a terrific competition, are in the bronze medal position currently. Then Ukraine 2 marks behind that, and then GB a further 2 marks behind that in 5th place. So Lewis Smith, they're going to need a lot to go wrong for Ukraine and USA, and they're going to have to nail everything absolutely brilliantly on floor to get onto the podium. Is it possible?
I mean, look, you never wish misfortune on anyone. As a goal, we wanted to come here and do our routines clean, but we always knew we'd have to leave a lot to the competition for things to kind of go our way. And unfortunately for us, America and Ukraine have been absolutely amazing, and it just made our job just that little bit too hard to sneak a bronze, and it always was going to be sneaking a potential bronze, and I think just this time it might be out of reach, but it's never over until it's over.
No, absolutely.
And we've seen crazier things happen in the world of sport, so let's just cross our fingers, legs, arms and hairs and see if we can do something special on this last rotation.
And if we want a straw to clutch at, the USA, I mean, they had a big score, as we've said, in qualifying from their star, Steven Nezarosik, who scored higher than he'd ever scored before, you were saying, to qualify second for the Pommel Bars final. But it's not their traditionally strong apparatus, as we're just watching as everyone else in the whole arena is completely quiet, watching Sugino Takaki of Japan on horizontal bar. Oh my goodness me. This is their piece of apparatus, isn't it, Japan?
He's going for it. I think if they're in second and he goes, right, we've got to play for gold here, he's going full out, and he's just done release after release after release, and his crowd, his teammates are down there, are going ballistic. What a routine that was, putting on a real show for the crowd. That was amazing.
They've got great history in that apparatus, Japan, getting the crowd behind them as well. So for anyone else who's going to have to compete, including Harry Hepworth, 20-year-old Harry Hepworth, for GB on the floor, he's had to wait for that, and now he's going to have to go and do the very best he can to keep GB in with a increasingly slim chance, Kelly, of making it onto the podium.
Eleanor and Lewis, thank you very much. We'll be back with you both throughout the evening. We are here at the La Défense Arena for the swimming. As we mentioned earlier, there's some great races coming up, and it's not just about the Brits who are involved in that. Karen, in the women's 400 metres individual medley, we've got the world record holder Summer McIntosh. I think I described her as a superstar in the making, but it's only because she's only 17, and you feel that there's an extraordinary career ahead of her, but she already has fantastic achievements under her belt.
Yeah, she really does, and she's going into this 400 individual medley. Her time this year is some 13 seconds quicker than the next fastest in this final, and that kind of dominance, I mean, that's the Léon Marchand dominance, over the 400 medley. She's an extraordinary swimmer with abundance of talent across all different strokes. Obviously, we'll see her in the 200 metres butterfly, the 200 medley. She's a good freestyler. She opted not to swim the 200 freestyle, which she could have been in the medals on that as well. But with her schedule, opted not to. She is very, very talented, as the top 400 medley swimmers have to be. They have to be able to do all the strokes. But she is still only 17. And when you listen to her interviews, you actually forget how young she is. She's very, very mature. She has been for the few years we've seen her on the world stage already. She's very mature, very calm and collected. When you see her come out for her races, she looks like she's been doing it for decades. And she is so very impressive.
Very impressive, and we can look forward to seeing what she can do a little bit later on. Team GB's first gold medal of the day and of the games came earlier this afternoon. It came in the equestrian team eventing.
It's gold for Britain! Laura Collette has anchored Great Britain to their gold medal in Versailles, and it's Britain's first gold at the Paris Games.
That was Sonia McLaughlin describing the magic moment at the Chateau de Versailles with Laura Collette, Tom McEwen and Ros Cantor taking gold. And she later took bronze in the individual eventing on her horse London 52. Tom McEwen just missed out on the medals. He finished in 4th place. And we can speak now to former Great Britain eventer Nicola Wilson, who will have enjoyed very much watching that incredible achievement for GB to retain their title, Nicola.
Absolutely, how phenomenal to retain their team gold from Tokyo, and how fabulous that Laura has come away with individual bronze. It's so extremely exciting for the country and also for Britain's first gold medal on the table. Fabulous.
And worth remembering as well that the gold in 2021 was the first for 49 years. So this is if you'll pardon the pun, a golden age for British eventing.
Absolutely, it really is. Eventers are really strong in Britain at the moment. They're across the board. Britain this time could have fielded 2, if not 3, fabulous teams to go to the Olympics. And the eventing in Great Britain is so strong and it's just amazing that they've managed to come away with so many medals.
And for Laura Collette in the individual eventing, more success for her. What an incredible day and what a fantastic Olympics she's had.
She really has. She came, all 3 of them with Tom McEwen and Ros Cantor and Laura Collette. They came with huge expectations on their shoulders. They were in fantastic form. They were the favourites going into the games. And, but riding under that pressure and that expectation is often difficult it can be difficult to deliver. And wow, did they not. They rose to the occasion and did a super job.
Nicola, lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much to Nicola Wilson, their former Great Britain eventer on Team GB's first gold medal of the day and of the Games in the equestrian team eventing. Now, let's get the very latest on the tennis. Jonathan Overend. Now, Jonathan, you've had an extraordinarily busy day because you've been covering the cycling earlier on. You were covering the mountain biking earlier on, and now you've whizzed over to Roland Garros.
You see, I know what's happening. People are seeing my name in running orders and go, I've got absolutely no idea what he's doing now.
Did you hear the hesitation and the pause in my voice?
He could be doing the new introduction of Tiddlywinks at the Olympic Games. Well, to be honest, I'd be there if they introduced it. I'm now watching Carlos Alcaraz, who is the number 2 seed. I'm sitting here on Court Philippe Chatrier, which has been a familiar home over the years at Roland Garros, and he's won the first set by 6-1 against his Dutch opponent Talon Griekspoor. Alcaraz, who of course has been playing doubles with Nadal, is in the colours of Spain, and certainly he's going to be one of the men to beat over the course of this tennis men's singles competition.
Jonathan, I'm not sure how much more excitement you can take today, because what an incredible day watching Tom Pidcock retaining his Olympic mountain bike title.
Well, I thought it was a good start to the day when Tom Daley and Noah Williams won their silver in the aquatic centre, and then it was over to the mountain biking. For Kelly, I mean, we've all seen quite a lot, without sort of banging the drum about how many years we've been watching sport, but combined, it's quite a bit, and that was one of the most astonishing things I've ever seen on a sports arena. That race for an hour and 25 minutes. They're pedalling furiously, but not along a straight, not along a velodrome, up and down a mountain, basically. Tour de France stuff, but with boulders and with logs and with fallen trees. And then it all comes down to the last few seconds when he's with his rival from France. He's had a puncture, Pidcock. They've changed his tyre, he's been off his bike, chilling out, having a bottle of water while they fix things, and he's worked his way through the field and overtaken his rival on basically the last corner, cutting on the inside. Incredible stuff from Tom Pidcock, who defends his Olympic gold medal.
Jonathan, good to talk to you. An eventful day and more to come from Roland Garros as well. We are based at the La Défense Arena, where we'll bring you the very latest from the swimming at these Paris Olympics 2024. We'll be back at the Olympics very shortly, but first with the very latest on that major incident in Southport earlier today. We can go back to Tony Livesey.
Yes, Kelly, thank you very much indeed. Yeah, that major incident in Southport where at least 8 people were stabbed early on today, and we heard of an arrest of a 17-year-old youth. We promised you a press conference. That is just about to get underway. I think the first voice you're going to hear from then is that of Merseyside Police Chief Constable Serena Kennedy.
Chief Constable Serena Kennedy from Merseyside Police. It is with great sadness today I'm here to advise that 2 children have died as a result of the injuries sustained in this morning's knife attack. 9 other children have been injured and 6 of them are in a critical condition. All those injured have suffered stab wounds sustained during the attack, and 2 adults are also in a critical condition after being injured during the incident. A 17-year-old male from Banks in Lancashire, who is originally from Cardiff, has been arrested on suspicion of murder and attempted murder, and is being taken to a police station where he will be interviewed by detectives. My officers were called to reports of a stabbing at 11:47 this morning and at an address in Southport. When they arrived, they were shocked to find that multiple people, many of whom were children, had been subjected to a ferocious attack and had suffered serious injuries. It is understood that the children were attending a Taylor Swift event at a dance school when the offender, armed with a knife, walked into the premises and started to attack inside the children. We believe that the adults who were injured were bravely trying to protect the children who were being attacked. As a mum and a nana, I can't begin to imagine the pain and suffering that the families of the victims are going through at this moment in time, and I wish to send my heartfelt condolences to them. Our specialist family liaison officers are providing support to the families of the deceased children and the children who were injured at this moment in time. And we'll be working with our partners, including Sefton Council, to provide that wider trauma support to those who've been affected by this incident. The investigation is in its early stages and the motivation for the incident remains unclear. However, Counter-Terrorism Police North West have offered their support to Merseyside Police as the full circumstances of what has happened are being established. At this moment in time, the investigation is not being treated as terrorist-related. I would appeal to anyone who's witnessed anything or who has information that could help us, the investigation, to contact us on Crime Stoppers 0800 555 111. And anyone who's been affected by this incident can contact Victim Care Merseyside Service for help and support. Our hub of locally trained staff are here to provide free and emotional support and practical tailored advice to you. You can contact the Victim Care Hub Merseyside on 0808 175 3080. Thank you.
My name is Dave Kitchen, and on behalf of North West Ambulance Service, we'd like to offer our sincere condolences to those families who tragically lost loved ones today, and to the wider community. Our thoughts are with you. I can confirm that we were called to the Hart Street area in Southport just before lunchtime today to an incident of reported multiple stabbings. We declared this as a major incident due to the number of casualties and the types of the injuries sustained. A substantial number of ambulances and specialised resources were dispatched to the scene, including our hazardous area response team, air ambulances and merit doctors. Tragically, we can confirm that 2 lives have sadly been cut short. We treated 11 casualties on scene, who were conveyed by emergency ambulance and helimed to Alder Hey Hospital, Royal Manchester Children's Hospital, along with Aintree University, Southport Formby and Ormskirk General Hospitals. I'd like to thank our staff who worked incredibly hard, caring for the victims in what was a devastating scene. I'd also like to thank our blue light and emergency colleagues from the NHS, from the wider NHS, for all their support during this incident. And again, we'd like to express our deepest sympathies to the loved ones of those affected. No doubt this incident will have a lasting impact on the whole community, and our thoughts are very much with them at this difficult time.
Phil Garrigan, Chief Fire Officer for Merseyside Fire and Rescue Service. I'm a colleague, so I would like to pass on my thoughts and those of my service to the family, friends and loved ones of everyone affected by this horrific incident. This is not something that anyone should have to come to terms with. In relation to the incident itself, my firefighters responded following the declaration of a major incident and were on the scene in minutes. With crews from Southport Fire Station and a specialist team from Aintree responding to assist our colleagues from Merseyside Police and North West Ambulance Service, who were dealing with a traumatic and understandably chaotic scene. The crews, who are trauma trained, worked alongside their colleagues to provide trauma care, administer first aid and undertake a wide area search for any other persons affected by this incident. My firefighters, many of whom live in this community, will be appalled by this act, but they will be back on the streets of Southport tomorrow to provide reassurance, kindness and support. The crews themselves were stood down at 4:18 p.m. this afternoon.
Well, there we go. That is the end of that press conference. We heard from the Merseyside Chief Constable Serena Kennedy. We heard from Dave Kitchen from North West Ambulance, and latterly there, Phil Garrigan. Chief Fire Officer, I'm afraid if we needed any confirmation of the horror that has played out in Southport today, we've just had it. The news that 2 children have died, 9 other people were injured in that attack, 6 critical, including 2 adults, as you heard there from the Chief Constable, who tried bravely to protect those children as they were attacked at a Taylor Swift dance event on Hope Street in Southport. We heard that confirmation that a 17-year-old from Banks, which is a village near Southport, but we were told originally from Cardiff, has been arrested on suspicion of murder, an attempted murder, and will be questioned in the fullness of time. But for now, everybody's thoughts, including all ours here at 5 Live, are with the families of those who've suffered today. Family liaison officers are working with those that have lost those 2 poor children who've died today. So just to reiterate, 2 children have died in that attack in Southport today. 6 people remain critical, including 2 adults out of 9 others that were injured in that attack. We'll continue to monitor the news throughout the evening here on 5 Live. It's hard to imagine there'll be another significant development tonight, but we'll keep across it. In the meantime, as we heard earlier from our correspondent, these attacks are very rare, but if you have been affected by anything you've heard, help is available on the BBC Action Line website. That's it for now, as far as I'm concerned. Time to hand back to Kelly at the Olympics. You're listening to 5 Live. It's 3 minutes past 7.
The Olympic Games, Paris 2024.
With Kelly Keats.
From BBC Radio 5 Live.
Well, before we focus again on the Olympics, I just want to send lots of love to everybody involved in those horrendous scenes in my hometown of Southport. And I think at times like this, there's not much else you can do but send love and send support. Here on 5 Live, we will bring you any further news if and when we do get it. In the meantime, the coverage of the Olympics continues, and we can head to the Bercy Arena, where the Great Britain men are in action in the team finals. This is watched by Olympic bronze and silver medalist Lewis Smith. He's watching alongside Eleanor Oldroyd.
And as you join us, Kelly, the gold, silver and bronze medals in this team final are all in the balance. China have been dominant throughout, but they've just had a really poor routine by Su Wei-dai on the horizontal bar, who fell off the bar twice. And so Hashimoto Daiki, the reigning Olympic champion from Japan, has just put in a clean routine, and you suspect that will put them into the gold medal position above China. We're still waiting for the scores for the USA, the final scores on pommel horse, and GB have just completed their final routine with Jake Jarman on floor, and it just couldn't be more close. Lewis Smith, could it really? What drama we've had going into this final stages of the competition.
It's been an incredible competition. It's been a pleasure to watch it from the outside. Japan have just looks like going to creep in front, but China went into that rotation with a 3-mark lead, and then they suffered 2 falls from one routine and then a fall from another one, and it's completely opened the door. And it looks like Japan is going to sneak the gold. But I cannot believe what's transpired. It's been incredible.
And at the same time, we're keeping an eye on the USA, who've had a really great competition. They had a disappointing qualifying, and then they have stormed back in this final. Stephen Nedorosik, who was amazing in qualifying and actually qualified second for Pommel final, has dropped a lot of marks, 14.866 for him. Floor for Jake Jarman has come in 14.966. So we are just waiting with a certain amount of tension to see how this will all finish. You suspect that Japan and China will be in silver and gold medal position. Somehow, maybe USA have now lost their chance of going into silver, but how are you calling it at this stage, Lewis? We won't know until all the scores are in, really, will we?
I mean, we've got the last guy from China to go on high bar now, but I think I'm going to say gold Japan, China second, USA third, Ukraine fourth, and a very proud fifth for the GB boys, who have been incredible in this competition.
I mean, they have done everything you could possibly ask of them, haven't they? Because, you know, actually they went into this in third place, and they have pretty much replicated what they did in qualifying. But Ukraine have done pretty well as well. And, you know, just waiting for the final scores. Actually, that's the final. Is that final score on floor? I think that's
final score for Japan. That's final score for America. Final score for GB.
And final score for Ukraine. We've had all the Ukraine scores on floor, so that puts GB ahead of Ukraine.
So we're ahead of Ukraine. So, and it looks like another fourth for GB.
Oh, which is frustrating. But then, if it is fourth, which is, you know, it's down to a great routine on that final on the floor, really, because they were in fifth place going into the final routine.
Yeah.
But actually, this is a team that is learning. You've got young Harry Hepworth. Jake Jarman is a young gymnast as well. Luke Whitehouse, who's already double European champion on floor. There is so much to come from this GB team.
And I think it's important as well for Luke to know that although he had the only mistake, even if he had gone clean, we still would have been outside the medal chances. So he needs to hold his head up high, and all the boys should be proud of what they've done today, to be able to do that competition again in this team final and only have one mistake, and be in the audience with the loud Americans, and it's just been an incredible atmosphere. They should be so proud of themselves. Well done, boys.
So all we've got to do is wait, Kelly, now for the final score for China on the horizontal bar. Zhang Boheng was the gymnast up there. When we get that confirmed, you can come back to us, Kelly, but at the moment it looks like fourth, a creditable fourth, and a disappointing fourth. You know, fourth is always disappointing for GB, but what a day we've had.
Eleanor and Lewis, for now, thank you very much. Let's get back to the cycling then, because even a puncture, as we heard earlier, couldn't stop Great Britain's Tom Pidcock retaining his Olympic mountain bike title here in Paris. After an amazing recovery, Pidcock still trailed France's Victor Koretsky as they headed into the closing stages.
Now into a slalom section with trees to their left, trees to their right. Here comes Pidcock once more. Oh, they touch wheels and they almost take each other out of the race. It's unbelievable. It's like an F1 race, this. And that was daring from Pidcock. He took on Koretsky on the inside. They definitely touched wheels, but Pidcock now takes the lead, and Koretsky, I think, has been damaged by that. Wow, what drama. Pidcock now coming through. He's pulled clear. He's coming up the finishing stage, and Tom Pidcock wins gold for Great Britain. What an extraordinary finish. What an extraordinary ride. And what a comeback. He had a puncture. He was off his bike, but he took his time. He worked his way through the field, and inside the last few meters, he overtook his rival from France on the inside to win the most dramatic gold that we might see for Britain over the course of these games. Tom Pidcock retains his Olympic title.
It wasn't easy, but it's keeping my glasses on for a reason. I think, you know, the Olympics is so special, and I think it's just like, you know, you never give up, give everything, and that's what I had to do. I knew that Victor was going to be super fast on the last lap, even if I couldn't get rid of him, so I knew it was going to be a big fight. And he left a gap and I had to go for it. So that's racing. Some people might view it differently, and I wanted to show what sport is, not giving up. It's a shame the French were booing me, but
There were plenty of cheers for you, Tom, I can assure you, and I know at home the whole world would have been cheering you. And you had the family here as well, so special to be able to celebrate with them, given that obviously Tokyo was such a quiet affair.
Yeah. It's super nice that they're all... I haven't actually seen anyone yet apart from my girlfriend, so I need to go find them, but thank you.
What went through your mind when that puncture happened? Because your team were so quick, it was like a Formula One change.
Yeah, but I mean, I think they're all used to things going so well that, Bruno, my mechanic, was not even was not ready. But he did a super fast change in the end. My bike was perfect, apart from my mistake of puncturing. So I can't thank everyone enough. Even at the tour with COVID, and then everyone around me, we just trained perfectly for this, and
Well, an emotional Tom Pidcock there talking to Jill Douglas. You heard commentary before that from Jonathan Overend. We'll speak to him in just a second, but we're going to head back to the Bercy Arena because Eleanor Oldroyd, the confirmation is in.
Yes, confirmation that Great Britain finish in 4th place. They pulled back 2 marks on their final routine on floor, went back above Ukraine, but USA, having the day of their lives, have taken the bronze medal. China having, the worst day of his life potentially for Su Wei Day, who fell off twice on the horizontal bar in the final rotation, giving Japan the chance to take the gold medal, which they duly did. And so Japan gold, China silver, USA bronze, Great Britain 4th, 2 marks behind. Lewis Smith, how do you sum the day up? What a final.
Oh, it's been emotional. I'm not going to lie. That has been a team final for the ages. That was an incredible experience. I feel very privileged to have been able to commentate on it and experience that. For China to be 3 marks in front and then have 3 falls on the last apparatus and open the door for Japan. You could see how much it meant to Japan. Half of them were crying on the floor. It was incredible, and the GB boys did so good. They really were up against it with so many amazing teams in this team final. And to see America as well getting a team bronze, they'll be over the moon considering how their qualifying went. So all in all, what a competition, and it's got my feet itchy.
The Americans are leaping around that pommel horse. One of them has just gone and kissed the horse, and they're waving the stars and stripes because the women's team are the glamorous ones. They get all the attention. Simone Biles and Suni Lee and co. But the American boys are really thrilled with bronze. China looked devastated. Japan absolutely ecstatic. And GB will reflect, and some of these gymnasts will be back to fight another day. And there are apparatus finals to look forward to as well in the early part of next week and over the weekend. But it's been thrilling. Kelly, back to you.
Thank you very much, Ellie. Keep an eye on that pommel horse. With Lewis's itchy feet, there might be a chance that he's going to take a run at it. So just keep an eye on Lewis, keep an eye on the apparatus as well. But Lewis Smith and Eleanor Oldroyd bringing us all that from the men's gymnastics team final. But we were talking just a couple of minutes ago about a fantastic mountain biking gold medal for Tom Pidcock, and Jonathan Overend brought us commentary of that here on 5 Live Sport. Jonathan, we touched on this earlier on, but it was just the most extraordinary set of circumstances that Tom Pidcock had to overcome to get that gold medal.
Yeah, I took that as a notice of a potential comeback from Lewis there, didn't you, Kelly? Absolutely.
It sounded like that to me.
We might have to hold him to that. But no, back to Pidcock. I'll be honest, I haven't been into cycling that much over the course of my life, but this is what the Olympic Games does to you. It sends you places completely unexpectedly to events that you wouldn't normally buy a ticket to, and you go and check it out and you go, well, what's this all about? And you do a bit of reading, and you watch these guys and you see how hard they train, and you understand the commitment to the sport and an ability to dominate as Pidcock has by winning the last World Championships and winning the last Olympic Games. And then you sit down and you go, right, show me what this is all about. Hour and 25 minutes. what have you got for us? And that race was truly incredible, because midway through, he's off his bike, he's got this puncture, the wheel comes off. He's quite lucky, actually, that he's quite close to the technical area, so he's able to wheel it in. The engineer comes in, as he said a minute ago, off comes the wheel, on goes a new one. As that's happening, what struck me is that everyone's so calm, Kelly. There was no panic. You think you're in the middle of this race that could end in a sprint finish, and you're literally not going anywhere. And it's not like 2.45 seconds at the Formula One. He was out for 45 seconds just chilling out. And I think it emphasises how important the support crew is in all these individual sports. You know, Team GB is the athletes first and foremost, but it's also the support staff. So shout out to the British cycling support staff and everyone who works behind the scenes in all the sports, I think, at these Olympic Games. I'm going to put that down as one of the best things that I've seen, and you know, what an event, and so such a pleasure to have witnessed it.
Over here in the pool, about 15 minutes before the first race gets underway, and the warm-ups have finished, they dim the lights inside the stadium, and there's this light show that takes place that culminates in a sort of impressionistic form of swimmers and divers inside the pool. Now, I know you started your days, we reflected earlier, with the diving. Do they do that because it's unusually the swimming and the diving are not in the same place for this Olympics? Do they do that at the aquatic centre as well?
I mean, that sounds very French, so enjoy it.
It's very creative.
No, quite low key. I mean, you've got a much bigger arena there. You know, the swimming, it's huge, isn't it? But at the diving, it's actually, even though it's a brand new venue, it's been built as a community, you know, a legacy venue for the future in northern Paris. So because of that, it's deliberately not massive. So it's 5,000 capacity seats, and that's going to reduce to 2,500 capacity after the game. So it was very intimate, and you feel very close. And as we were commentating on Tom Daley and Noah Williams earlier, you know, it does feel like you're around the 18th green at Troon. You feel like you're a word out of place, and they might be able to hear you from the top of the platform. Again, the ability of these guys, the years of training that goes into delivering on the day. That's what always gets me when you come and watch elite level sport. You know, nothing is left to chance. The preparation has been done. Now it's all about delivery. And when you're doing 4.5 somersaults from a 3-story high building, effectively, you know, the 10-meter platform in the diving, just wondrous. And they did it consistently across the competition. China won the gold. China are robotic. When China are in, they invariably win the gold, and they did today. But for Daley to complete the set after, you know, plenty of bronzes and the gold in Tokyo, fantastic achievement. And for Noah Williams, of course, a first Olympic medal. And the GB diving team now have 2 out of 2 competitions.
And we're also joined by Olympic silver medalist Leon Taylor now to reflect on that incredible performance from Tom Daley and Noah Williams. And I'm not overstating it, Leon, when I say that you are Tom Daley's inspiration and mentor.
Yeah, well, way back when I won my Olympic medal in 2004, Tom was just 10 years old, and would you believe I was his hero? So I was able to meet many young athletes on a tour of the UK diving clubs back in 2004, and of course meeting Tom was certainly a highlight, and I had the pleasure and in fact I was blown away by his curiosity to find out, you know, more about what I'd been doing and my experiences at the games. And I saw him practice some dives in the pool, and that's when I offered to become his mentor, because I just really saw the potential in this young boy who'd only been diving for 2 years. So yeah, we've spoken, you know, extensively on our relationship in those early years when he was coming through to his first Olympic Games way back in Beijing, just as I sensibly retired from my 22-year career, broken and aching from head to toe, and I've been safely in the commentary box ever since.
Look, over the course of 5 Olympic Games for Tom Daley, when you hear him being interviewed afterwards, and he sounds obviously focused, but sounds very relaxed. I mean, you know, you go in as a 14-year-old, and you know, as people always say, at that age, often athletes, swimmers, divers have no fear at that age. Then he goes back, and each time there's more pressure, there's more expectation. He's had all those different life events going on between Olympic Games, but this sounded like one in which he was able to relax, in which he was able to enjoy it.
Yeah, completely. I mean, he was just in such a different space and place. All of the pressure, and he uses the word torture. He was a tortured soul. He felt like he didn't fit in. He felt like he had to overachieve to prove himself to himself and to the world and those around him. And that was just a really awful experience on the inside. On the outside, externally, you think he's living his best life, but internally, he's turning himself inside out. He speaks very openly of how traumatic that was. And, you know, the low of Rio, his third Olympic Games, he won a bronze medal, but then, of course, completely, you know, bombed out in the individual event where he was tipped for the gold. And then, of course, the journey, you know, to the depths of the low points he was at, to then rise, you know, 5 years later, of course, with the shifting, and then finally, you know, becoming a father changed everything, and starting knitting, and there's various other things that came in. But it just shows that he completely changed his approach and was able to get out of his own way and then stand on the top of the podium in Tokyo. And then after that, as he said, everything is a bonus. He didn't even know he wanted to continue diving. He stepped away from the sport for 2 years, and then he came back, and to watch him shine today next to Noah and complete his set, you know, that silver. The first thing he said to me when I saw him, gave me a big hug, he went, "I've got a silver just like you now." And we had a big laugh about that. And it was just, you know, it's a lovely 20-year circle, because, of course, when he was 10, I shared my Olympic medal with him all those years ago in 2004.
I loved hearing him talk as well about the relationship that he has with Noah Williams, and that they have their different roles within that. You know, Tom Daley said that he's the scoreboard watcher, but they don't actually speak to each other for the whole of the competition. Is that something that just has to be developed organically in the partnership, or are there certain kind of lines that have to be drawn?
Yeah, I mean, the key to any relationship is being really clear on what's important to the other person. And I think that's a lovely, you know, kind of rule of thumb that we can all relate to. So if you know that what's important to Tom is that he keeps looking at the scoreboard, he needs to know where everyone is. He was joking tonight on stage, his A-level mathematics comes into play and he can figure it all out. Now, for me, I'm like Noah. I did not look at the scoreboard. If I look at the scoreboard, that spikes my adrenaline and I start trying too hard. So I would literally be an ostrich and put my head in the sand. I don't want to know what the other divers are doing, what the scores are. I just want to do my thing and then look back afterwards and see how it unfolded. So there's two very different needs there. There's two, you know, things that need to be acknowledged and supported. So just because it's good for Tom doesn't mean it's good for Noah, and they both respect that for each other and allow each other to do what they need to do in order to perform at their very best, because their shared goal is to perform as they did today, and they performed, Kelly, at their very, very best. The Chinese were just beyond brilliant. I've never seen a score that high in this event. They were not giving away that gold today. The first dive, the Chinese were like, catch us if you can, and then no one could keep up. Even our boys, who were just diving out of their skin, could not keep pace with that phenomenal Chinese pair.
They were just fantastic, and I know that you were doing the coverage for BBC Television for 5 Live. Steve Parry was at the Aquatic Centre, and Steve probably had a slightly less positive take on it, because all I could hear when I was listening to it was Steve saying, "You just really want everyone else to make mistakes."
It's a fascinating sport, though, right, Leon? Because yes, you want the Brits to do well, but unlike at the pool tonight, where we're going to be encouraging the Brits to do really well, I find myself at the dive and I'm like, oh, I really hope these Aussies mess up. I hope the guy with the mullet does a belly flop. Do you know what I mean? It's
what was whose was the dive that I heard you like whooping and giggling at when they were so out of sync? You got completely carried away with yourself.
It was very naughty of me, because it was the French, our lovely hosts. I think it was on the 5th round. I mean, they almost landed horizontally, and I was just laughing my head off. I just thought it was absolutely hilarious. But, you know, they were great today, weren't they, Leon? It was so much fun to have in the Aquatic Centre at 11 o'clock in the morning. And it completed
It's a perfect brunch, isn't it, Steve? Perfect way to enjoy brunch. What a morning.
Absolutely.
Leon, I don't know if you've heard any of the coverage over the last couple of days, but we learned that when Racing play here for their rugby matches, because it's indoors and because it's on an artificial pitch, at the end of the game they have a bar. So we've decided that at the end of this meet that we'd quite like a little swim-up bar at the edge of the pool that we can take part in. So I think that's probably something you were saying with the aquatic centre. I think Leon would very much get on board with that.
Leon would love an opportunity to get his budgie smugglers on. He's in better shape now than he was in 2004.
There's a brilliant bit of footage on the 5 Live Sports social media feed. They put the old commentary cameras in place for the diving today. So Steve alongside Jonathan Over and Kat Downs alongside Leon. They've spliced the whole thing together beautifully. So it's their reaction and their commentary as Tom Daley and Noah Williams dive and win the medals. And you've got to go and find it. It's absolutely brilliant. And the other thing I've seen today, you were chatting to Jonathan Over and about the Tom Pidcock goal.
Yes.
On the BBC Sport website, that final overtake move from Pidcock with Jonathan Overend's commentary over the top, go and find that as well. That is breathtaking. Victoria Pendleton's gasp in the radio commentary there, it just sums it up perfectly.
It was
Brilliant.
fantastic. There have been some brilliant moments, and there have been some brilliant moments over Tom Daley's career. Do you think there's another competition in it? Do you think, Leon?
Yeah, look, I mean, I've asked him that question several times, privately and publicly. He was asked the question again tonight. He's been very coy. He's like, he's going to keep it as an open loop. I mean, he's already admitted as well. He's 30 years old, and in diving terms, that is ancient. And this isn't being unfair to anyone who's 30. It's I've often compared diving years to dog years. So he's like 107, and he's still going. But let's see. I mean, he's a big ask to come out for these games. 4 years is a long time, but I don't think we've seen the last of him yet. But in what context, only time will tell.
Yeah, I heard your interview with him earlier on, and you have to ask him, and we have to ask you, and it is a question that we are going to keep asking.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We
need to know, don't we? It's exciting to find out. Absolutely.
Exactly.
But still no clarification as yet.
No, not yet. Not just yet. It's still very soon after that silver medal. Leon, lovely to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Thank you
Have a
very
good
much
evening.
to Leon Taylor talking there about the silver medal for Tom Daley and Noah Williams in the 10 metres diving. We're at the La Défense Arena for the swimming this evening. There's a great race coming up, the women's 400 metres individual medley featuring Summer McIntosh, the world record holder Karen Pickering at just 17 years of age. A real opportunity to see a superstar in action.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she's really dominating the 400 individual medley. She's, of course, the world record holder. In the heats, she swam 13 seconds slower than her best time. So that's almost half a length slower than she's capable of swimming, which is ridiculous, really. Such a talent. But of course, we've got 2 British swimmers going in that final, with Katie Shanahan, who qualified in 8th place, but also Freya Colbert, who won the World Championships earlier this year, albeit with a slightly less competitive final than the World Championships a year ago. But that was such fantastic experience for her to win an event like that. And winning is a habit, so for her to get the confidence of winning that was brilliant, and she does have a great opportunity to get on the podium.
Steve, what do you think of that? I mean, look, Summer McIntosh, clear favourite for this race, but what do you think of the British chances, particularly Freya Colbert, who comes in as world champion?
Yeah, I mean, make no mistake, this is Britain's best chance of a female medal, in my opinion, and I'd love to see Freya Colbert do it. She had a breakout swim earlier this year in Doha at the World Championships. She's a world champion in her own right, but there's 2 different races here. McIntosh is a phenomenon. She is going to be out there. We're going to see a repeat here of what Léon Marchand did yesterday, where there's 10 metres between first and the rest of the field. But I'm excited about Freya and the opportunity that she's got here, but she's going to have to put together a perfect race if she's going to get even a bronze medal. I'm worried about Grimes next to her, another teenager from America. Get this for a grueling schedule. She's doing the 400 metres individual medley here. She's doing the 1500 metres freestyle, and then she's doing the 10k open water to round it up. A sprint show pony she isn't. She is definitely getting that done. But Summer McIntosh, when she broke Katinka Hossu's world record that had stood for over a decade, that's when it turned everyone's eyes towards what she could be doing. So, but let's go Freya. Let's hope she can do it.
What should we be listening out for Freya Colbert? Obviously, you have to be a fantastic all-rounder to compete in the individual medley. But what are her strengths, Karen?
Freestyle is her number one stroke, and she could have swam in the freestyle relay, the 4x1 freestyle relay, but they rested her. She was, I think, third at the trials in that event. She's a good 200 freestyler, so we know she's going to be strong at the end. She's pretty solid throughout. She's a good 200 fly swimmer also, so she's one of the swimmers that is pretty solid through, and she's going to have to pace it right, not get caught up in other swimmers' tactics, not get caught up with seeing potentially Summer McIntosh quite a way ahead, and really concentrate on her own race. But there are other swimmers, we mentioned Katie Grimes, who will be strong in the closing stages. She is obviously a freestyle specialist, a distance freestyle swimmer. She will have the endurance to be hanging on at the end. She doesn't have the sprint speed that Freya Colbert has, so if she can get her tempo up and has got something and can get her legs going, she will have the edge there.
This event, Kelly, is absolutely horrendous. I mean, it's minging. It's horrible.
I'm planning to enjoy it, I'll be honest.
Yeah. Well, it's all right if you're sitting on the side, as we are with our Twixes and our water at the ready. But you've got to go 2 lengths fly, 2 lengths back, 2 lengths breast, 2 lengths free, and it's hard work to do any one of them. People get medals for one portion of that. They've got to put all 4 together. It's widely known as the most challenging event, the most grueling event in the swimming programme.
Steve Parry, Karen Pickering are here, and the swimmers are on their way out. Alistair Bruce Ball.
Yes, Freya Colbert just makes her way poolside in the dark blue Great Britain tracksuit. A white bag on her back, drops that into the little blue box behind her quickly, unzips her top. She will swim in lane 6 this evening. Katie Shanahan, the 20-year-old Scot, will swim in lane 8. Katie Grimes makes her way poolside as well, the 18-year-old silver medalist in the World Championships last year. That is a point worth making, Karen. Just talking about Freya Colbert being world champion in Doha this year. The World Championships this year were a slightly unusual event, weren't they? And as you said, quite a lot of the big names in quite a lot of the events weren't there to compete in them.
No, that's right, and it was slotted in as an extra World Championships, and for some swimmers that just doesn't fit in with the programme of training. And so I think of the final at that World Championships, Freya is the only swimmer in this final as well. However, you can only beat who's there, and she did that, and that was a great experience for her to be a World Championship winner.
Yeah, Freya Colbert will get on the blocks shortly as a world champion, splashing herself furiously with the water from the pool. This magnificent La Défense Arena is filling up quickly. Incredible atmosphere again tonight. 5 medals up for grabs. Great Britain's best chances in the first 2 races, so that is over the next 25 minutes or so. So please don't go anywhere. You're not going to miss a moment on 5 Live and BBC Sounds, because following this, the women's 400 metres individual medley, we have the men's 200 metre freestyle final with Matt Richards and Duncan Scott going for Great Britain in that. Swimmers on their blocks: Ellen Walsh of Ireland, lane 1. Mio Narita, Japan, lane 2. Summer McIntosh, hot favourite, lane 3. Emma Wayant, the American, Katie Grimes, 4 and 5. They're in. Colbert in 6 for Great Britain. Ella Ramsey of Australia in 7, and Katie Shanahan closest to us. They're into the butterfly, the first of the 4 strokes in the individual medley, and out in front at the moment, over in lane 3. No surprise, the 17-year-old Summer McIntosh, who, as we've been saying, may well take a Léon Marchand grip on this event very early. Her closest challenger at the moment looks like Katie Grimes in lane 5. Karen Pickering.
Yes, and Summer McIntosh, a world champion at the 200 butterfly, so no surprise that she is incredibly strong and just taking this race on. Katie Grimes going well in the early stages. Freya Colbert and the other swimmers pretty much in a line. It is just Summer McIntosh and Katie Grimes who are making an impression at the early stages. Summer McIntosh with a very, very smooth, calm stroke as she comes to the end of the first 100.
Touches the wall, turns, they move into the backstroke, she disappears underwater, then the head pops up in the black swimming cap, gliding away. Strong competition at the moment from Katie Grimes. 17-year-old Summer McIntosh against 18-year-old Katie Grimes for the gold medal at the moment in this race. Probably expecting Summer McIntosh to pull away, but let's see. Then, Karen, as you say, very, very close for the bronze medal positions at the moment, with Freya Colbert and Katie Shanahan in lane 8, both involved.
Yeah, Katie Shanahan is a very strong backstroke swimmer, so this is an opportunity for her to use her strength, make the most of this leg. But Freya Colbert is going very, very well, and the places will start to unravel over the backstroke and breaststroke legs. Katie Shanahan on the outside lane in the red hat going very well, but Freya Colbert also looking good. She's got a really smooth backstroke, quite a high tempo, which she's keeping going.
Colbert clearly in third at the moment, and I would say Shanahan in fourth, both ahead of Emma Wayant, the American, who was the silver medalist in Tokyo. Eyes back to the front of the race, halfway through, and on the turn, Summer McIntosh has a lead of about a body length over Katie Grimes. We are now into the breaststroke. Good race for the gold medal here because Katie Grimes is sticking at it. Summer McIntosh is the world record holder. She set that earlier on this year, back in May. Looks like she's just pulling away at the moment in the breaststroke. We've got the Olays again, but look at the British swimmers here. In that race for the bronze medal, it is Colbert and Shanahan who are right up there. Emma Wayant, their closest challenger, in lane 4, and just coming up a bit quicker in lane 7, Ella Ramsey as well of Australia.
Yeah, for Katie Grimes, this is her weakest part of the individual medley, so no surprise to see Summer McIntosh start to pull away, and Freya Colbert is easing towards Katie Grimes, so she's one lane down. Every time she takes a breath on the breaststroke, she will see Katie Grimes in the blue hat of the USA just ahead of her as they start to reel Katie Grimes in.
Ella Ramsey, the Australian, is starting to challenge. She is positioned right between the two British swimmers. Summer McIntosh a good few body lengths clear. She's got about 15 metres to go here before we head into the final 100 metres and they're away into the freestyle. Katie Grimes is losing ground. Freya Colbert is making ground, but Emma Wayant coming on strong in the breaststroke as well. And this is going to be some battle for silver and bronze. Big roar for Summer McIntosh. She is away and clear, speeding off on the first 50 metres of her freestyle. Still in the silver medal position, it is Katie Grimes, but she has swimmers in hot pursuit, including Freya Colbert. Katie Shanahan just dropping back a bit now with about, what have we got, 75 metres or so to go.
Yeah, this is going to be a battle really between Emma Wayant and Freya Colbert. Katie Grimes will be digging in, trying to hold on to that silver medal position. Emma Wayant has had a good penultimate 50 metres. We need to see Freya Colbert now dig deep, find some speed and just fight down this final 50.
Freya Colbert fighting hard in the bronze medal battle here with Emma Wayant. Emma Wayant, the American, looks really strong. She's got her eyes on silver. Could Colbert even potentially catch Grimes? Summer McIntosh is going to take the gold, no surprise. She moves into the last 5 metres. She's about to touch. It is gold for Summer McIntosh and Canada. Katie Grimes is going to hold on, and Freya Colbert is not going to get there. Emma Wayant, the American, takes the bronze, touches just before Freya Colbert, who finishes in that agonising position of 4th place for Great Britain. Katie Shanahan in 7th, and the swimming cap is off for Summer McIntosh. A superstar already at the age of 17, dominating the race, decimating the field, just like Leon Marchand yesterday. And Emma Wayant, the American, came on strong to come through in the end and take the bronze medal. And Steve Parry, desperate disappointment for Freya Colbert.
Well, it really was, wasn't it? She looked so good up to that 350, but the Americans are just so strong at the end, and they know how to get races done. They do so much racing week in, week out on their college programs, but just a nod to Summer McIntosh. She beat the field by 6 seconds, the exact same margin that Leon Marchand won by yesterday. She is just so versatile. She had no weak leg, Karen.
Yeah, do you think, Steve, I was watching that final 50 and Freya Colbert was breathing away from what was happening in the centre of the pool. The action was happening to her right, she was breathing to her left, and I feel that medals are won and lost when swimmers are not breathing to the action, and I find it a bit frustrating that they don't have the skill to be able to switch it up and breathe the other way just to get that boost on the final 50, because you just can't see what's happening. And yes, they're digging deep, and yes, they're trying to go as fast as they can, but if you can see the action, I feel like they just get a little bit more of an edge.
Yeah, tactically you've got to be a little bit more astute, I think, getting breathing away from you to see where your rivals are. But shades there, Kelly, of last night. Fourth again.
It did feel like that, but it did feel as though it was going to be a two-way battle, actually, for a long period in that race, because Katie Grimes very much had Summer McIntosh in her sights.
She went off way too hard. I mean, she must have been in agony, poor Katie Grimes at the end. When you go out that hard on the butterfly and backstroke ledge to try and stay with someone like Summer McIntosh, your lactic acid builds up, and that's as it sounds. You got acid coursing through your veins. Her lungs would have felt like they'd been on fire. There would have been an elephant jumping on her back, and she did so well to hold on. Real gutsy performance there from Grimes. But there's no doubt who is the queen of the pool, and it's McIntosh. Great job.
Absolutely fantastic swim from her, as expected. But it must be hard I know, Karen, you were saying about keeping your eye on that, making sure that your breathing patterns are such that you can keep an eye on what's happening in the centre of the pool. But to be swimming in a race where there is one swimmer who is so dominant and so much clearer of the field, do you need to have almost a different tactic, a different mindset, a different approach?
I think certainly if you're up against a swimmer who is that much quicker, you know not to go with them in the early stages, and they have to swim their own race, and it's so important on an individual medley because they have the different strengths and weaknesses on the different strokes. So you've got to have a plan, but equally when it comes down to a race in the closing stages, I just see too often the swimmer who's breathing to the action is the one who gets the touch.
And with Freya, I mean, I know you said that you think that she could have just got that extra edge if she'd seen what was going on, but how do you think she'll assess her swim after that race?
I think she'll be gutted to be fourth. She's been slightly quicker than that, and she'll know it was faster than she swam in the heats. And I think, rationally, when she looks back at all the different parts of her race, it was very positive in many of the parts, but she will obviously be very frustrated and disappointed that she didn't just have that finish to get the medal.
But this one is a huge race coming up for Team GB. Both Matt Richards and Duncan Scott in the men's 200 metres freestyle final. Alistair Bruce Ball, they're on the way out.
Yeah, this was the glory race 3 years ago in Tokyo. Tom Dean, the gold medalist, Duncan Scott, the silver medalist. Duncan Scott involved again tonight. Tom Dean, third fastest in the British trials this year. Didn't even make this British team. Matt Richards has made the final two, and he's already made his way out poolside. Looking confident, Steve Parry, striding to his blocks, arms out wide. Be interesting, there's more to come from Matt Richards, I feel, tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what we wanted to see from Matt Richards. A lot more confident. He was the world champion last year. He didn't look brilliant yesterday, but he needs to find his A game because this is an absolutely stacked field. And Duncan Scott in there as well. I'd say he looked the better of the Brits yesterday, but let's hope, gold and silver last time, let's hope they got enough to get a medal between them.
This is the man to beat. The last man called out to the blocks. David Popovic of Romania, the 19-year-old. Duncan Scott has just arrived. Light red hoodie for him. Darker red swimming cap. Trainers and socks coming off quickly. And the riders are getting ready. The swimmers getting ready for the 200 metres freestyle final. Duncan Scott is at his blocks early. So is Matt Richards. Matt Richards will swim in lane 1. Easy to spot with the heavily tattooed right arm. Puts his right leg on his blocks. Next to him in lane 2, 21-year-old Max Giuliani. 21-year-old American Luke Hobson in lane 3, swimming in his first Olympics. David Popovic, the man to beat, the 19-year-old Romanian, 4th in Tokyo, but has been swimming beautifully here. Duncan Scott in lane 5, 3rd Olympic Games for him. 6 medals, still looking for that first individual gold. Lucas Martins of Germany, already a gold medalist here in the 400 metres freestyle. Danas Rapsis, the silver medalist in the World Championships in Doha in this discipline earlier this year. And in lane 8, the Japanese Katsuhiro Matsumoto. Gold and silver for Great Britain in Tokyo 3 years ago. What can Matt Richards and Duncan Scott produce tonight? Can either of them somehow find a way past David Popovic, the 19-year-old in the black shorts and the white cap? Men's 200-metre freestyle final at Paris 2024 is underway. All the swimmers emerge quickly from the surface. Nothing between them in the first 25 metres or so. Matt Richards looks to have gone out quite fast in lane 1, Karen.
Yeah, he does. He's taking this race on. You saw him sit back in the heats and really work the second half, but not so in this final. David Popovic, no surprise that he's going out quite quick. 100-metre, superb 100-metre swimmer as well. But Duncan Scott, breathing to his right, has eyes on David Popovic as they come down the second 50.
Quickest over the first 50, the German Lucas Martins, the gold medalist in the 400 metres freestyle, then Popovic, and then it was Matt Richards, and Matt Richards again right up at the front of this race. Duncan Scott, the good thing for him, if it is going to be Popovic the man to beat tonight, he's right next to him. They come to the turn. There are 2 lengths to go. Scott turns with Popovic at the same time. He's at the front of this race and going fast in lane 6 still. Lucas Martins, the German, he's the man to catch at the moment.
Yeah, and he's a real danger man, having already won a 400 metres freestyle. He's going into this race with nothing to lose. Matt Richards is having an absolute storming third 50 over the far side of the pool. Duncan Scott finishes his race as well, so he's certainly not out of it. It is very close between all 8 swimmers.
Right, we are into the last 50 metres. The swimmers turn. It's going to be another PTS final from last night. You could throw a blanket over them. Lucas Martins was still in the lead. Has Matt Richards got enough in the tank to keep going? It is neck and neck now. 25 metres from the finish. Duncan Scott kicking furiously. Popovic is under pressure here. Third lane as well, the American Luke Hobson. And I tell you what, Matt Richards in lane 1 might have the edge here. Desperately close at the end again. Can Richards get there for gold? We'll see. He gets silver. Popovic beats him right at the end. Luke Hobson takes the bronze. And Matt Richards from lane 1, we knew he had more to produce at this Olympic Games, has pulled a silver medal out of the bag. And with metres to go there, it looked like it might even be gold. What a swim from Matt Richards. And let's have a look just where Duncan Scott finished. It's 4th. It's another 4th place for Great Britain. Just couldn't get there right in the end in the dash for the finish. Lucas Martins, the German, led for most of that race. He finished 5th. Matt Richards takes the silver medal, the 2nd medal in the pool for Great Britain.
Well, that was absolutely incredible. For all his life, Matt Richards looked like he was slowing down in the last 15, but he just found something. He found something to get his hand on the wall in that last 5 metres, Karen. He brings home the silver. Popovic has a bemused look on his face. He doesn't know what happened in that race. It was absolutely bonkers. Luke Hobson, how did he get 3rd? He had all the winning.
It was so close. With 50 to go, it really could have gone anywhere. Martins, who took the race on, really drifted off. I thought Matt Richards got the touch looking at that, but Popovic, just that little bit taller, just that slightly longer reach, and it all came down to just, it's 200ths of a second. We're just watching the slow motion of the finish. My goodness, it's just that he's got a longer arm. That's so cruel.
He glided in at the end. Richards glided at the end. He could have been the Olympic champion. This is what I'm talking about, Kelly, about the margins. It's like we have been on the wrong side of these touches. You know, it's just unfortunate. 2 100ths of a second last night, 2 100ths of a second tonight, separated from 2 gold medals.
It's so funny as well, Kelly, watching it from this position, because you've got your eyes on the pool, you've got your eyes on the screen as well. And when the swimmers touch, a red light goes up at the end of their lane. But to the naked eye, to the human eye, the touch between Popovic and Richards there, you can't distinguish it. So you then look to the screen, and it takes a millisecond just to bring the names up across the screen. And as the British fans, you're obviously thinking, I want that gold medal symbol, I want it to be Richards. And obviously it wasn't. Fine margins again, but you know, he really produced the goods in the final there.
It was a fantastic swim from him, but that moment when he's reaching at the end, as you said, he glides in. Karen, this is yours. This is the freestyle. Is that an error is probably too strong, but is that something that you can work with? Is that something that you work on?
Listen, I don't think David Popovic finished perfectly either. They both had a glide on the end of their stroke, but Popovic is taller than Matt Richards. He's got a longer arm, and that's a cruel way to get the touch, but in effect that's what happened. I don't think he could have corrected. He couldn't have done anything different in that moment, and he was giving it everything down that final 50, and he was obviously absolutely hanging with and tired, and it's very difficult to correct what you're doing in the final meters. He made the right decision of just sticking his arm out and going for the stretch. But there was 1500ths between first and fourth. There was barely any margins at all. That was an utterly superb race, because any one of the 8 could have been on the podium when they got to the turn.
Yeah, it was so tense, so breathless, that race all the way to the end, probably literally for the swimmers involved in it. But you said not the race that David Popovic would have expected.
No, he's actually swum faster on at least 3 occasions this year, and he took the race apart at the European Championships. It didn't look quite right. I know I keep coming back to it. They won't be happy with the times, the 144s. They're just not right. It'll add to the conspiracy theories around this blooming pool.
So come on, let's go. Did you get down? Did you say to go and have a little bit of a poke around?
Yeah. Do you know what? The coaching community, it's all they're talking about. They're like, here's a fact for you. Every single swimmer in the men's 100 breaststroke yesterday would not have finished in the top 8 at the last Olympic Games. And what they're saying is, how's it possible for the 8 best male breaststrokers in the world to all miss the taper?
Why is it affecting breaststrokers then more than anyone else?
Karen will laugh at this, but this is what 2 different coaches are telling me, right? So the depth of a pool has to be, for an international competition, 2 metres. This pool is 2.15 centimetres, which when the Olympics was dished out to Paris, that was in the regulations, only had to be 2 metres. Since then, the World Governing Body for Swimming has made sure that it's 2.5 metres. So on the current standards, this pool is not deep enough to hold.
I read that the recommended is 3 metres.
And this is where the physics is coming in, right?
Yes, so this is what we like. Come on.
They're saying the wave turbulence off the bottom of the pool on the pull-outs on the breaststroke is slowing them down so much because the pool is too shallow, and that's why the breaststrokers are slowing down even more than the freestylers.
It's the same depth for everyone, so why does it matter? It's about
I suppose
race.
It's only if you're chasing
Confidence.
times. In a race, it probably doesn't make that much difference,
and
because
also,
you're all sorry, go on.
No, I was thinking, you were talking about the times from Tokyo to Paris, but Max Litchfield, who came 4th, his time would have won in Tokyo. So, that race was exceedingly fast, much faster. And I get there's going to be
no
anomalies.
wave turbulence on freestyle, Karen.
He did have to do 100 breaststroke. It was a medley.
Oh, yeah, go on.
Oh, yes. But no, I get it. There might be physics reasons why, but it's the same for everyone. So ultimately, it doesn't matter, does it?
But if it's getting the coaches' knickers in a twist, right, then they're focusing on the wrong stuff.
Yeah, because they're looking at the times rather than the race, which is what we talked about ahead of Adam Peaty yesterday, when we're saying it doesn't matter if they're a couple of seconds off. It doesn't matter if they're a couple of seconds off their best times, as long as they're racing each other, not the clock this time around. But it is still really interesting. Also, is there something about everybody's gliding in, aren't they, in the breaststroke?
Started on that. So one of the coaches, this was a different coach, paced out the pool 3 times this morning, and he said to me, "It's too long." He says
have his legs shrunk.
He says, I said, "You haven't got a clue about, you can't use your paces to measure them out." He's like, "Steve, I travel up and down a pool 100 times a day when I'm coaching my athletes. It's 53 paces
Getting his
on the
steps
nose. This is 53 and a bit." Now, even I'm off that. Surely someone's got a tape measure out to make sure the pool.
It could even just be that he's changed his trainers.
But you know what?
Maybe the floor's bouncier or something.
The conspiracy theory continues, because he was just going on saying this is an extra half step, and so he had a fellow coach do it with him as well.
They're playing the Canadian national anthem for Summer McIntosh, the winner of the women's 400 metres individual medley, and she's over there taking her expected gold medal, a 17-year-old Canadian who's not just got a bright future ahead of her, but has a bright present and has a bright past. Came into this as the world record holder. Didn't get to that time though, because of the slow pool
and the long pool
and the extra long
it
pool.
was 404 individual medley she did, clearly. Canadian national anthem for gold medalist Summer McIntosh. The 17-year-old beat Katie Grimes into silver. Emma Wayan finished in the bronze position in the men's 200-metre freestyle. Already this evening, David Popovic, the Romanian, took gold in that one, but it was a tougher race than perhaps he was expecting. And Matt Richards of Great Britain took advantage to just miss out on gold. He comes away with a silver medal, and it's Luke Hobson of the United States who takes bronze in that one. There are more swimming commentary on the way, including Ollie Morgan in the men's 100 metres backstroke. The 100 metres breaststroke for the women is coming up as well. It features the world record holder, the Olympic holder, the Olympic record holder, there is British interest in Angarad Evans, there is Irish interest in Mona McSharry, and then the women's 200 metre freestyle coming up with that really exciting race between the two Australians, Ariana Titmus and Molly O'Callaghan. Big fight for Great Britain's Delicious Ori in just over an hour's time as well. Steve Bunce and Conor McNamara will be across this one for us, but let's hear from Delicious Ori himself first.
It's a certain mentality it takes. I've been in the wrong end of a decision. It hurts. It does hurt because you train hard, you go to the gym, you work hard, your sparring is difficult, and then you get judged, you get to a position where you don't get the win. It's difficult, but it takes a certain amount of time, some type of mindset just to go out there and make sure it keeps training and do your thing.
Now we're at the big screening. The rest have been rehearsals. Now we're at the big screening.
Yeah.
You walk out for your first fight. There's going to be a crowd this time. And there's going to be pressure on you, Delicious, because whether you like it or not, you are going to be one of the guys that people are zeroing and looking at. But that's okay, isn't it?
That's okay. This is what it comes with. It comes with pressure. Yeah. It comes with nerves. I'll be lying to you if I said I didn't feel pressure and I was nervous.
And I'd be upset if you told me that you weren't feeling pressure and you weren't feeling nerves. Of course, because I know enough. I've sat opposite enough Olympians going back to 1988 with Richie Woodall, and if I don't see them taking a deep breath and showing me a little bit of anxiety and a bit of nerves, then I'd be worried as well. So I'm pleased you said it.
Yeah, that's what, and I think this is it. Is who's able. We're all going to be fit.
Yeah,
we're all going to be skilled. Who's able to deal with that pressure when the time comes? And I feel like that's the edge, that's the difference. And from the people who win medals and don't.
Okay, I'll put it to you, Delicious Ori, that you're going to be a poster boy at the Olympics in Paris. What say you to that accusation, Delicious Ori? What say you? Don't just smile. Give me an answer.
I'm thinking about it.
You're going to be. Listen, whether you like it or not, you're 6 foot plus.
Yeah.
You're a big 6'4".
Yeah.
You're more like 6'6", for God's sake.
Just 3 words. Bring it on.
And then we're just talking about this fantastic setting inside the La Défense Arena, where the French supporters are over to our left-hand side. There's a section that's reserved for them, and that's where the stadium announcer manages to start to whip up that atmosphere. But we've seen plenty of swimming that's being able to do that. We're going to get back to the boxing and reflect more on Delicious Ori and talk a little bit more about his chances in just a second. But we're going to head back very quickly to Roland Garros and more on the tennis with Jonathan Overend.
Yes, just a result to bring you from the Carlos Alcaraz match. He is through. He has beaten Talon Griekspoor in straight sets. Alcaraz winning his second round match here. So the man who won the French Open on this court a few weeks ago, followed it up, of course, by winning Wimbledon, is still on course for a potential summer treble. And cheered on by the Spanish fans packing out this centre court. Alcaraz is through to the third round with a straight sets victory.
Overs, thank you very much. So let's get more then on the boxing. Great Britain's Delicious Ori in action in just over an hour's time. Conor McNamara and Steve Bunce are going to bring us everything that happens there. Conor, Buncey has been saying this has been such a difficult draw for the British boxers. It's been a disappointing Olympics for them so far. But is this the best medal chance for Great Britain?
Yeah, I think coming into this Olympics in Paris, there was a lot of eyes on Delicious Ori. It is a small Team GB boxing team. Only 6 boxers have come here. 3 of them have already been eliminated. And it will add a little bit of pressure. And it was great to listen to Bunsey talking to Delicious Ori there, and you can hear that he has got, a lot about him. He's big, he's imposing, he's 6'6", he's a super heavyweight. But, this is a clever guy, an amazing backstory. Born in Moscow, in Russia, a Nigerian father, Russian mother. He lives there till he's 7. Then he comes to live in Wolverhampton when he doesn't have a word of English, but goes on to become a model student, gets a master's in economics. Says he wants to go on and do a PhD once he's finished, and didn't take up boxing, Bunsey, until he was 18 years of age. I mean, in some ways, he's been something of a freak that he's taken to it so well.
He's taken to it so well, and that's because in 2021, they decided, the GB boxing team, after Fraser Clark turned professional after the Tokyo Olympics, they decided they needed a big heavyweight, and they decided they would back Delicious Ori. They sent him all around the old Eastern Bloc. He went to 9, I believe, different countries in the Eastern Bloc in a year. He won some, he lost some. He had hard nights in Belgrade, hard nights in Armenia, hard nights far out in Tashkent. But what he was doing, even if he was just winning or just losing, is he was learning. He changed. He went from 19 in 2021 to 2022, late 2022, after he'd won the Commonwealth Games. The boy, even though he was about 24, became a fighting man. And this Delicious now is fully aware of the pressure on his shoulders, and he's a big event fighter. And you know what, some of the best fighters I've seen up close, some of them are not big event fighters. They get by exclusively on their talent. No, Delicious will thrive. He will wish there was 20 extra thousand here, and he will wish there were 20 extra thousand here backing the Armenian opponent. He's going to be a big event fighter. I really mean it. He likes it. That's what he does, and he's so serious about this business. Forget his name. Forget the fact he's always smiling. The backstory is lovely, but he is very genuine.
Right, big event boxer, and this has got, Kelly, the big event feel about it. The crowd tonight, and we've been impressed with the noise in here since the start of the boxing, but tonight the whole crowd seems to be drummed up. They're getting behind even sort of neutral fighters that they themselves don't back. There's a good atmosphere here. Let's see if Delicious Ori is going to rise to the occasion in about half an hour's time.
Connor and Bunsey, thank you very much for that. They will bring us news of that fight. Also got a big night coming up in the pool, the men's 100 metres backstroke with Ollie Morgan, who qualified last night. They've got the world record holder and the Olympic record holder in there as well, and the world record holder, the Olympic record for the women's 100 metres breaststroke, which is taking place this evening. Fascinating race between Ariana Titmus and Molly O'Callaghan of Australia coming up in the women's 200 metres free, and we'll keep you up to date with everything that's happening in terms of TB and Team GB and any of the possible medal chances that they have this evening. That's all coming up after the BBC News with Dan Maudsley.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Good evening. Police have confirmed that 2 children have died following a knife attack this morning in Southport. Police were called at 11:47 to Hart Street, where a Taylor Swift yoga dance session for children aged 6 to 10 was taking place. 9 other children have also been treated for stab wounds. 6 are in a critical condition. 2 adults injured in the attack are also said to be critical. A 17-year-old boy from the nearby village of Banks, who was arrested at the scene by armed officers, remains in custody. Merseyside Police Chief Constable Serena Kennedy spoke at a news conference this evening.
It is understood that the children were attending a Taylor Swift event at a dance school when the offender, armed with a knife, walked into the premises and started to attack inside the children. We believe that the adults who were injured were bravely trying to protect the children who were being attacked. As a mum and a nana, I can't begin to imagine the pain and suffering that the families of the victims are going through at this moment in time.
Well, following that news conference, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has been giving his response. He's been speaking in the last hour.
The events today are just truly awful, and I know the whole country is deeply shocked at what they've seen and what they've heard. And I know I speak for everybody in the whole country in saying our thoughts and condolences with the victims, their families, their friends and the wider community, and it's almost impossible to imagine the grief that they're going through and the trauma that they're going through. I do want to thank the emergency services and Merseyside Police who've had to respond to the most difficult of circumstances today.
Well, those emergency responders included the police ambulance, air ambulance and fire services, as well as several hospitals which have been treating the injured, including Alderhay Children's Hospital, which declared a major incident in the immediate aftermath of the stabbings. The trust there has confirmed this evening that it has stepped down from that major incident and the hospital is now operating as normal. In other news, the former BBC presenter Hugh Edwards, who was arrested last year following allegations in the Sun newspaper, has been charged with 3 counts of making indecent images of children. Mr Edwards, who left the BBC in April, will appear before magistrates in Westminster on Wednesday. And the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, has announced cuts to winter fuel payments, restricting them to those on pension credit or other means-tested benefits. She told Parliament that the government needed to save money after inheriting an overspend of £22 billion from the Conservatives. Ms Reeves also announced a deal with junior doctors, offering them a 22% pay rise. The Shadow Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, accused her of laying the ground for tax rises. Well, that is the latest. We will keep you updated on the continuing investigation into this morning's stabbings in Southport. Live coverage continues on the BBC News app, on News Channel and on the live page at bbc.co.uk/news.
This is 5 Live Sports at the Olympic Games
with Kelly Cates
on 5 Live and BBC Sounds.
You join us at the La Défense Arena, where we're bringing you the swimming action from the Olympics here in Paris 2024. Women's 100-metre backstroke semi-finals taking place at the moment. We'll bring you up to date with that and what that means for the final, which takes place tomorrow evening. Great Britain's women play USA in the quarterfinals of the Rugby Sevens at 8:30. We can speak now to our commentary team for that one. Sarah Orchard and former Welsh Sevens captain Philippa Tuttiett. Good evening to both of you. Sarah, let's start by talking about GB earlier today. They came from behind to beat South Africa convincingly in the end in their final group game. So what do they take from that into this one?
It's a really interesting one, this one, Kelly, because Team G coming into this don't really have any rhythm or form. They've got this sort of disrupted setup where they've got players coming in. They don't have the same amount of funding as perhaps other sides do. So the fact that they've actually ended up in this quarterfinal against the USA, I mean, Philippa will back this up. I mean, this final 8 position for them, it couldn't be any better, could it, Philippa?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got to echo that. It has been a really turbulent season for Team GB on the World 7 Series, which is where they play. They came 8th overall, and they're coming up against now USA, who have come 4th on the series. So it's going to be a real hard challenge. But you know what? They've got some real good superstars in there. Ellie Kildunn converting from 15s back into the 7s game, and Meg Jones as well. We last saw her in the Six Nations this year. She's back with the 7s girls. So as long as they can bring all those superstars together, they can really give USA a good go.
And most importantly, Kelly, we have to say, GB have avoided New Zealand and Australia, who didn't want to play, and France, who are the host nation, who are absolutely firing at this game. So as much as we're talking about a discombobulated Great Britain, this is a good draw for them.
And Philippa, much like yourself as a social media star on the YouTube side of things, Ilona Maher of Team US has become a social media star, really starting at the Tokyo Games. She's got a combined total of 3 million followers across Instagram and TikTok. And she's talking about building the brand, not just for herself, but in terms of growing rugby in the US.
Oh, absolutely. I think she is inspirational in what she has done through the social media, and you know, you hear her talk about it, and it was a conscious effort. When she went to the last Olympic Games, she realised the platform that was there for her to be able to use for good, to celebrate the fantastic game, to celebrate the athletes, and she has just gone from strength to strength. And it's good to see there are many athletes aspiring to do her TikToks. I'm not going to try. I haven't got those moves.
Kelly, can I just jump in quickly on Ilona Maher?
Yeah.
Today she became the most followed rugby player in the whole world on social media. She's overtaken Sia Khaleesi and Sonny Bill Williams, which before this Games they were both ahead of her. I mean, she is so influential now, not just in 15s but in 7s as well, and she only plays 7s on top of that. I mean, do go and follow her content. The children all know who she is. I was speaking to Jess Eddy, who does our rowing commentary earlier today, and she said all of her stepchildren know who Ilona Maher is. That's the kind of impact that she has, and she's attracting that youth.
She is, and I have to say, she's appeared on my FYP quite a lot, Ilona Maher. So it's not just the children that she's breaking through to. Middle-aged women, the biggest growing demographic on social media. So she's hit my sweet spot. But in terms of the performances, Philippa, that USA can put in, how much improved are they because of this? You know, the increase in profile, the increase in attention to them, and how difficult could GB potentially find it against them?
It's going to be a challenge. Like I said, USA came fourth in the series. You know, in every single round they were always there or thereabouts, and you always thought each time this could be the one that they could win. But they've had their injury woes as well. They were without actually Ilona Maher for a few tournaments, but they are looking pretty good. I mean, there are some big names that didn't actually make the cut for Team USA, so this is a really strong team, and actually with the way their pool has drawn out, they've managed to rotate a lot of their players, so they're going to be coming into this with what I think is their strongest team that hopefully will be fresh to give them the best chance.
So about 20 minutes to go then until Team GB women go in the Rugby Sevens quarter-final against USA. So that is 8:30 UK time. For now, though, thank you very much to Philippa Tuttiett and to Sarah Orchard. We'll be back with them a little bit later on. What you can hear in the background here at the La Défense Arena is the second of the women's 100 metres backstroke semi-finals. Heats took place this morning. The final will take place tomorrow evening, and we'll keep you up to date with what that means. But what we're looking forward to this evening, there's some big medal races taking place, one of them being the women's 200 metres freestyle. The world record, the Olympic record holder, Ariarne Titmus, but she's up against her compatriot Molly O'Callaghan. And Steve Parry, this is something that you flagged up for us last night when we started looking ahead to this one, because there's an expectation that if you're someone's teammate, that you're their friend, that it's a friendly rivalry. Is that necessarily the case?
I think these guys pretend to get on more than actually getting on.
But we need evidence if we're going to say that.
Yeah, well, let me give you a few bits of evidence. You never see them standing next to each other in a picture. You would expect teammates to be able to do it. They don't socialise outside of the pool, even though they're together every day. And do you know what? I wouldn't expect them to. These are two of the best athletes in the world going head to head all the time. And sometimes I think in international sport people just pretend to be friends when they're not. The only reason Molly O'Callaghan joined Ariarne Titmus out in Brisbane was because of Dean Boxall, her coach. He's one of the best coaches in the world, and she wanted to go head to head every day with Titmus. I mean, let's see how quickly they embrace each other after the race. I mean, I don't want to be a starer, but I just think it's interesting.
It's exactly what you want to be, and exactly what we want to hear as well. 8:40 for that one, for the women's 200 metre freestyle race, and we'll talk a lot more about that in the build-up to it. Actually, things start to run a little bit over at the pool, so we'll probably be a little bit later than 8:40, but get here for 8:40 if you don't want to miss it. Now, Ollie Morgan won the British Championships in a new British record. He's a British record holder for the 100 metre backstroke and competing at his first Olympic Games. He's going to be going in the 100 metre backstroke this evening. That race is due to start very shortly, within the next 10 minutes or so. So how are the nerves holding up for Ollie's uncle, Paul Woosnam, who joins us now? Paul, are they starting to kick in?
Yeah, they are just a little bit now, to be fair.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, it's a big event, isn't it? I'm at the fan park again tonight. They've put it on for another evening, so everyone's getting nervous now.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about this fan park. So this has been set up in Bishop's Castle, which is Ollie's hometown. They've already done it to watch the semi-final. So what have they got there? What's it like?
Well, yesterday it was more of a split event with the local leisure centre to raise some money for the swimming pool that's 50 years old. So we had all the local sports clubs, football club, all the local clubs really involved, trying to raise a little bit of money for the swimming pool. And plus, because Oliver used to do lessons there, we put the big screen on as well, and a few kids' rides and a bar. and food, so it was a really good day.
Paul, it's Karen Pickering here, and I was just wondering, you know, a lot of the friends and family have watched their young athletes go through all the junior levels. They've gone through it all with them, the highs and lows, and, you know, make it to the Olympic Games. But this is quite a sudden and meteoric rise. So are you ready for all these emotions?
Not really, to be honest, no. It's all come round pretty quickly, really. We knew this was his goal, but it has come round very fast for him.
Yeah, I think he's said himself he wasn't quite sure if he was going to be targeting Paris or if he was going to be looking further ahead in terms of trying to qualify for an Olympics. But when did he start, or when did you as a family start talking about the fact that he might be an Olympian here at Paris?
Well, he started off with his local swimming pool at Bishop's Castle, just doing his lessons. Then he moved on to Ludlow, to the club, and started competing. His mum and dad took him all the time, training 2 or 3 times a week, and he started to win quite a lot. He did get to a stage where he was on the fence of playing football, mountain biking or swimming, and his dad pushed him on the swimming, and really he started winning a lot of Midlands events, county events, and then since he's gone to Birmingham University, it's just gone off the scale, really.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast in which he was talking about that and just the change in the intensity of training. But he's kept up his interest in other sports as well, and just reading about his kind of varied training program has been really interesting. Do you think it's helped him, the fact that he has been just an all-round sporty kid until he's got to the point where he's decided to focus on swimming?
Yeah, I think it has really. Yeah, he's one of those kids that was just good at everything. He played for Bishop's Castle, a local football team. He got very good at mountain biking, and that was starting to get serious. And I think, yeah, it has all helped him. His overall stamina now is unbelievable, really.
Karen, do you see that in terms of his performances, the fact that he has this all-round fitness that comes from having had that variety of sports training?
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of athletes now see the benefit of being more of an all-rounder, and it might not be actual other sports, but certainly in the way they train. You know, they bring in much more land training and running and climbing and anything that kind of creates that fitness and takes a little bit of the pressure off everything happening in the pool. And of course the repetition as well is much better for the body to not be doing the same thing over and over again. So really he was just kind of a little bit ahead when he started off doing that, rather than as he got older started bringing in other training techniques.
I think it's really refreshing, you know, the different approach to how you can become an Olympian and how you can compete at the highest level. We really encourage our kids to do one sport too early, in my opinion, you know, whether that be football or tennis or swimming. You know, it's great that he's demonstrated here, Ollie, that you can do other stuff. You know, he's winning mountain biking competitions, he's playing a lot of football, and he's swimming in an Olympic final. It's my belief that our kids should do all sports, but just be busy. As long as you're not sitting in front of the telly or sitting on an iPad, as long as you're out doing stuff, that's what we want. And the sports will pick you in the end.
And Paul, have you had a chance to think about what it might be like to watch him win a medal?
Yes, but I don't want to jinx it too much. But he's done what he wanted to do, was to get to the final. Really, that was his main goal. He really wanted to get to this final after he missed out on the World Championship final. He got 9th and not 8th. This is what he really wanted to do, but now we've got to this stage. Got that little inkling that he could get a medal. You don't know, do you? It's just on the night.
Yeah, what I'm getting from you is you're excited for him, but you don't want to put pressure on him and you don't want to jinx him.
No, that's right, yeah.
That sounds absolutely right, and we're really looking forward to seeing him in action, Paul. We're going to let you go now and start building up yourself for the race. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much, Paul. That was Paul Woosnam, who is Ollie Morgan's uncle. Molly goes in the 100 metres backstroke. That one's due to take place any time now. At the moment, you're listening to the medal ceremony for the men's 200 metres freestyle. It was won by David Popovic of Romania. That's the anthem that you can hear at the moment. But it was only by a fraction of a second. It wasn't visible to the naked eye. Matt Richards of Great Britain took a really good silver in that race, and Luke Hobson of the United States with the bronze medal in the men's 200 metres freestyle. Still to come this evening, there is that men's 100 metre backstroke. That'll happen very shortly once they've cleared everything up from this medal ceremony and the swimmers are out and ready for that one. Then about 5-6 minutes later, it'd be time for the women's 100 metres breaststroke. Big race coming up there. The world record holder is in the pool. The Olympic record holder is in the pool, and Ankarad Evans goes in that one. That's the British interest to look forward to at around about 8:25. About 8:20, it's the women's 200 metres freestyle. We've talked about it a couple of times already this evening. The world record and Olympic record holder Ariarne Titmus is going up against her fellow Aussie Molly O'Callaghan, and Steve Parry is looking to see whether it's all as friendly as it might be after the end of that race. So we're keeping an eye not only on the result but also on the aftermath of that one, because Steve's looking for a little bit of a row between those two potentially, or just a little bit of tension. Healthy competition is not a bad thing, Steve. So as we heard, Matt Richards with that fantastic silver medal. It was so close to being a gold, and after the race he spoke to Sharon Davis.
Got the curse of the 2 100s, haven't we, a little bit?
Yeah, it seems that way. I mean, look, I can't be too disappointed with that. It's my first ever individual at an Olympic Games, so to walk away from that with a silver medal is fantastic. Obviously 2 100s off gold is excruciatingly frustrating, but look, if anything, it's added more fire to my belly. You know, I've got a lot more to go this week. The 100 starts tomorrow, the 4x2 is tomorrow. You know, myself and Duncan, second and fourth, gutted for him, by the way, just missing out on the medal. You know, he deserves it more than anyone, but yeah, that bodes really well for our 4x2. And yeah, you know, it fuels me on for the rest of this week. I've got that 100 starting tomorrow, and I'm going to try and get back on David for that one.
I think you might kick yourself when you look at the final and you actually look at the wall, because it looked as if you touched first.
It felt as if I had, but
did it really?
Yeah, it did. I thought I'd got it. But you know, it wasn't my best finish. I'd be lying if I said it was fantastic. It didn't feel bad. It did feel like I'd done enough, but you know, the time says differently. It's not a sport where it's up to debate. It's black and white, you know. And so we move on, we'll go better, and see what we can do next time.
How much difference does it make being out there in lane one?
It's not ideal, I'll be honest. That semi-final last night, I misjudged it a bit, you know, and being out there meant I was kind of a little bit out of the race, and so I had to kind of swim it purely on my own, which in some ways can be great. In other ways, especially on a close race like that, it can mean that you end up on the wrong side of it, which happened tonight. But it's all experience, it's all learning for me. You know, I'm 21, I'm young, I've got a long time to go in the sport. Yeah, I want another 10 years before I even think about hanging the goggles up. So it's all good learning, it's all good experience, and yeah, we'll take that forward into the rest of the week.
I saw you making lovely heart signs to the family. Really important that they're here for you, isn't it? And they had real troubles going here. They got swindled out of their tickets and goodness knows what, but I guess it's all worth it. They watched you tonight.
100%. I mean, look, my fiance's up there, my mum and dad are up there, my fiance's family are up there too. You know, it's just, yeah, it's really special. Just knowing they're in the crowd. You know, it's not an easy sport. It can be lonely sometimes, you know. And just knowing they're here, knowing that they're cheering me on, being able to hear my dad shout, "Let's go, Matty," just before I dive in, you know, all those little things, they all just make it that much more special.
That was Matt Richards talking after taking silver in the men's 200 metres freestyle earlier on this evening. A really impressive swim from him, and he talked about the importance of his family, his fiancée, who's also a swimmer in the crowd as well.
Yeah, and then obviously 3 years ago when he first won an Olympic title, there was nobody in the crowd in Tokyo, so it is very, very special for the athletes who are back here at an Olympics again. What a difference for them. And he's been soaking it up as he's walked around the poolside, had a photo with a young child putting his medal around his neck. Thankfully they gave it back to him. Didn't run off into the crowd. I tell you what, he needed to support it, because Steve, you had your hands on an Olympic medal earlier today. They're heavy, aren't they?
Yeah, Scarlett Muir Jensen's medal that she got 2 days ago, first medal that GB won, and honestly they are so heavy. You know, they're hundreds and hundreds of grams, and I've got fairly big hands, it filled my palm. She was a little bit upset that she didn't have a box for it. She was concerned about it getting in, but do you know what? They've done so well, Paris, with the medals, and I love the bit of the Eiffel Tower in the medal as well. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Where's your medal?
It's in my sock. Oh, I shouldn't say that. It's in my sock drawer at home. I keep it there because no burglars had ever looked in that drawer. But I'm going to have to change location now, aren't I?
But this is the thing: is that you put it on display, and then if you do get broken into, then somebody just knows exactly where to go because it's under a nice little picture light or whatever. Or do you hide it away and then you don't get a chance to remind yourself, that you're a
I strongly believe you've got to give it to as many kids as you can and let it feel like all my ribbon on it's frayed. Mark Spitz, I thought this was one of the biggest tragedies. Mark Spitz has had his 7 gold medals that he won. They've been locked away for years, and I just think that's a huge missed opportunity for the kids. Just very quickly, when I went to go and do my first gig at a school coming back from the Olympic Games, we were down at this school pool. There was about 30 kids there, and one of them said, "Hey, can I put your medal on?" And I was like, yeah, no problem at all. I put my medal around his neck, and he dove in the pool and had a swim. I was having heart palpitations. I'm like, I'm all for letting kids wear the medal, but I don't want them going swimming with it.
I don't think they rust.
Well, bronze don't rust, but thanks for rubbing it in.
There's a lovely line from Matt Richards at the end of his interview with Sharon Davis there as well. Just sort of, letting our listeners kind of in behind the scenes. When it just goes quiet before the race. And I think he said he heard his dad shout, "Go on, Matty." Imagine that, just in the moment for a big race like that. And you've really got to pull something out of the bag, and you can hear your dad, who would have, as Karen has been saying, watched him ever since he was little, taken him to swimming meets up and down the country, and there he is on the big night and watches his son perform like that. That's fantastic.
And from lane 1, we were saying that he looked a bit iffy in the heats in semi-final, and out of the 2 swimmers it was Duncan Scott that looked the best. He was in an outside lane, he took that race on, and I think for some swimmers they may not have that mentality of if I've got a lane I've got a chance, but the races like that are just proof that if you can get yourself into the final you have an opportunity, and hopefully that's exactly what Ollie Morgan will be thinking. He goes in that same lane.
Hey, same lane, yeah. Let's hope he's put a bit of magic in there. Lucky lane 1, yeah.
Yeah, because it's not time to go now, as you can hear. It's just started to build up a bit. By the way, I've been at the same venue as Snoop Dogg twice so far. Is this Drop It Like It's Hot? No, it's not, is it? I couldn't hear. I thought they were playing Snoop inside the arena, and I thought, I wonder if he's here again tonight, because he's been to the swimming before. Well, I was starting to worry about having to take out an injunction. I'm not going to lie to you. I saw him again at the gymnastics
kidding?
as well.
You let on to him. You could not wait to let on to Snoop Dogg when he walked past you.
Well, when I went,
you did it dead casual though. Hiya, Snoop.
What's up? No, I did jump properly. It was like, hiya.
So
you're like sixth form girl again, letting on to someone you fancy.
You know what? He's been sort of taken around. He's part of NBC's coverage for the television in the States. So he's been taken to all these different venues. And I went to see Simone Biles in action in the gymnastics the other day, and he was there again. It was a star-studded crowd, obviously, because it's Simone Biles. Anna Wintour was there, Ariana Grande was there, Tom Cruise was there, and they played the Mission Impossible theme. But then, I wasn't anywhere near them.
Tom
they were on
Cruise
the
is
other
about
side.
the right height to be good at gymnastics, isn't he?
I couldn't see him in the crowd.
I couldn't spot him. Right, Ollie
Sorry, Alistair Bruce Ball.
No, that's quite all right. Ollie Morgan's going to be on the big screen in the fan park back home. This is his big moment, thumping his chest hard. We have got the men's 100 metres backstroke final on the way very shortly. Ollie Morgan out in the GB tracksuit with the red swimming cap on his head, and actually he turns away from the pool here, Ollie Morgan, the 21-year-old competing in his first Olympics. Headphone strapped tight to the head, and just surveys the arena and has a little look around. As you'd expect for an Olympic final, this the men's 100 metres backstroke. It is absolutely loaded again, Steve. Ryan Murphy, a world champion last year. He did the 100 and 200 double in Rio. We've got a Frenchman in the field. He's going to get a massive roar. Johan Ndoye Brouard. Thomas Chekon, the Italian, the world record holder. Really exciting swimmer as well.
Well, if Ollie is going to get a medal here, he's going to have to beat some of the best swimmers in the world we've ever had on backstroke. Chekon, he absolutely obliterated the world record a couple of years ago. Ryan Murphy is backstroke royalty, and that's who he's going to be swimming next to. He's picked up medals at Worlds and Olympics all over the place, ever present in the last 4.
Why do Italians always look so cool? Whatever sport it's in, he strides out Thomas Chekon. He's got the dark blue hoodie on, Italia, boldly written across the front. And he just steps towards the blocks. Tall, imposing figure, check on the world record holder. So Ollie Morgan, we're calling it Lucky Lane 1. He's getting the old tracksuit bottoms off over there and getting ready to swim. Karen, were you headphones before you came out to swim?
No, I didn't. I used to listen to music right up to the ready room and then came out without headphones on, and just I tried to be more calm than pumped up. I mean, different athletes have different ways of preparing, don't they? And you see some of them that look so psyched up and others that are quite chilled.
Yeah, I know Kelly, before every show now at the swimming, she's listening to the Snoop Dogg before she gets into the arena. Ryan Murphy in lane 2 tonight. Johan Ndoye Brouard, the Frenchman. You heard the massive roar for him when he entered the arena. Jie Zhu, the Chinese swimmer in lane 4, 28-year-old silver medalist in Rio. This is 4th Olympic Games. The Italian Checon in 5. Peter Kutsia, the South African, in 6. Apostolos Christou, the European champion Greek swimmer, 3rd fastest time in the world so far this year, coming into the Olympic Games. And Hugo Gonzalez in the bright red swim shorts in lane 8, closest to us, representing Spain. The whistle blows. This is the men's 100 metres backstroke final. All eyes for us on 5 Live and BBC Sounds on 21-year-old Ollie Morgan. Away on the far side of the pool, swimmers just drop into the water, a lazy leap in, then turn to face the wall, grab that little swing contraption to get themselves in position. Then it's one hand each side on the metal poles of the diving blocks as they pull themselves up into launch position. Knees tucked tightly to chest, still like statues at the end of the pool. 2 lengths of backstroke to come. They lift themselves out of the water and away they go. Once again to a massive roar. Home hopes looking at lane 3. Johan Ndoye Brouard. Swimmers quickly into their strokes, pushing hard up the pool, and actually difficult at the moment to pick out who's in front. The Chinese swimmer Zhu seems to be going well in lane 4.
Yeah, and Ollie Morgan in lane 1 didn't have the best start, but that's okay because he quite often has the strongest finish. So expect to see him start to feature in the closing stages. But awesome underwater work from Ryan Murphy, the master of it.
Right, Zhu in lane 4 is right up there. So is Checon, the Italian. Ollie Morgan with work to do away on the far side of the pool. Ryan Murphy, world champion last year. Backstroke royalty, as Steve Parry has said, being pushed by the Frenchman now. This is a desperately tight finish again, and it may well go to Checon in lane 5. The Italian gets the gold, powered through in the last 10 metres of the race. Thomas Checon takes the gold medal for Italy, and Ollie Morgan 8th in the final out of the 8 swimmers. Silver to Zhu, the Chinese swimmer who led at the halfway stage, and Ryan Murphy, the American, takes bronze. Kelly.
Alistair, thank you very much. Still to come, the women's 100 metres breaststroke final and the women's 200 metres freestyle final. But we will first of all join Sarah Orchard and Philippa Tatiet for Great Britain's women against the USA in the Rugby Sevens quarter-final.
Thanks ever so much, Kelly. Yes, the Stade de France is absolutely packed to the rafters for this one. It's Great Britain 7, USA 0, early stages of this quarter-final. We've still got 4 minutes to play of the first half. GB, a big flex from them early on after they held up a ball, and eventually it was the captain Emma Uren who went over. They've got the ball at the moment, GB. They're just outside of the USA 22. They're trying to push towards the left-hand side of the field of play. They've just slightly knocked it on this. There's going to be a reset. If we just bring in Philippa Tatiet there, former Wales Sevens captain. I mean, a bright start for GB.
Really good start. You know, they had that long kick deep, but they managed to keep the pressure on and pin USA back in their 22. So really good early pressure and just fantastic to score so quickly.
And here comes Meg Jones, who's been a real star of this GB side. I mean, anything that is good that tends to happen tends to come through her, but there's a little knock on there by GB as they work their way through this. Now, Great Britain, as they came into this women's sevens tournament, a little bit up and down, haven't had consistent results on the tour so far this season. They've had players coming in, the likes of Meg Jones and Ellie Kildan, who are regular 15s players. But because they're an unknown, no one will have wanted to play them at this stage. And they have made 4th place in the last 2 Olympics, Phil.
Yeah, exactly right. Even though USA are currently ranked higher than them, GB have a better record at the Olympics. It seems to bring out the best of them. And so far in this tournament, I have to say, I've followed them all year in the World Series. They are looking good. They're looking very fit and very confident.
OK, well, GB are just being pulled back. They wanted to take a really quick penalty, and I have to say, a few of their players have really got the bit between their teeth. And when it comes to teams, they do tend to grow in competitions, and that's what anyone who is a fan of Team G will be hoping has happened to them throughout this competition. As we quickly head back to the pool, at the moment, Kelly, it's Great Britain 7, USA 0.
Thank you very much for that. We will be back to Philippa and to Sarah for commentary of that game to keep you right up to date with everything that's happening. Meanwhile, at the pool, it's almost time for the women's 100 metres breaststroke. Karen Pickering and Steve Parry are here with Alistair Bruce-Ball.
Well, what a performance to reach this final by the 21-year-old British swimmer Ang Harrod-Evans. She's just been announced to the crowd. 17,000 packed in again in the La Défense Arena, out in the all-white tracksuit, bouncing up and down in her trainers behind her block. She'll swim in lane 7 tonight. Big challenge, Karen. Big challenge for Ang Harrod-Evans to try and get on the podium in this race.
It is, but apart from Tatiana Smith, who fans of swimming might know better as Tatiana Schoenmaker, her maiden name when she took the 200-metre title in Tokyo, she's half a second clear on the rest of the field in the semi-final, and then there's only 0.7 of a second between the next 7 swimmers. So it is tight. Of course, Lily King has been Olympic champion, and she's going in this race as well. So there is a stacked talent, swimmers who have swum faster in the past, but there's an opportunity.
Steve, what do you think?
Well, I'm excited about this. Evans, 41st in the world last year. She's now 6th in the world. What a story it'd be if she could get herself on the podium. Also, interest here as well from Mona McSherry, from Ireland. What a story she is.
Yes, 23 years old. Mona McSherry will swim in lane 5. Reached the final in Tokyo, finished 8th there. 5th in the last 2 World Championship finals. Has qualified in good times for this final tonight. A big moment for Ireland, and certainly when we've been making our way to and from the arena, we have seen plenty of Irish support for Mona McSherry. So the women's 100 metres breaststroke final is on the way. Benedetta Pilato, the Italian in lane 1, Alina Zmuszka in lane 2, Lily King, the American, Karen mentioned her, world record holder still in this event, set that back in 2017, now 27 years old, she's in lane 3. Tatiana Smith, silver medalist in Tokyo, she's in lane 4. Mona McSherry of Ireland in 5. Qianting Tang of China in 6. And Harrod-Evans for Great Britain, the 21-year-old in lane 7. And Eneli Jefimova, the Estonian, in lane 8. The arena falls silent, the whistle blows. That calls the swimmers to their blocks. One more box office final to come after this one tonight. The Ariana Titmus, Molly O'Callaghan All-Australian showdown in the women's 200 metres freestyle. But this is the women's 100 metres breaststroke final. Racing for gold for Great Britain, Ang Harrod-Evans quickly into her stroke, 15 metres into the race, but immediately to her left-hand side, the Chinese swimmer Tang has set off extremely fast. This is neck and neck all the way down the first length of the pool, Karen.
Yeah, Tang has gone off very, very quickly. A really fast stroke rate as well. She's got herself about half a body length clear, so it will be time to reel her in as they turn at the 50.
Yeah, so Tang turns quickest. Mona McSherry, the Irish swimmer, is in the silver medal position, and we now have about 40 metres to go. Can Tang keep the pace up? On her right-hand side is McSherry chasing her for this gold medal. Evans is still in the mix here, and all these swimmers are pretty close together with about 15 metres to go. Over in lane 1, Pilato, the Italian, is also going strongly. Tang, the Chinese swimmer, is desperately trying to hang on. Tatiana Smith, the South African, is coming through strongly. Evans is still in the mix, heading to the wall here. I think she is just going to miss out on the medals, and it's Tatiana Smith who takes gold, Tang for China who takes silver, and Mona McSherry. It is joy for Ireland, a bronze medal in the 100 metres breaststroke final tonight in Paris. But it's Tatiana Smith, immediately the gold medalist. She has burst into tears at the achievement of winning a gold medal in the pool. And pretty much everyone, Karen, had a shout for a medal going into the last 10 metres of that race.
Yeah, Tang took the race out very, very quickly, but a really, really fast stroke rate that she couldn't quite maintain over the second 50. And Tatiana Smith, the 200-metre specialist, brought that race home, timed it to perfection to take the title. But Mona McSherry, she can't quite believe it. And the Irish flags in the crowd are waving. And that's the family and friends that we saw with the McSherry t-shirts on will be in here and utterly delighted with that performance. Well done, Mona.
Top quality race there. We got 6 people under 66 seconds, and Evans just missing out by 0.2 of a second. It really is. The theme of this Olympics, coming down at Le Défense Arena in the water, is it's all about the touches. The races are so close, it's unbelievable.
Evans finished 6th, first Olympic final for her. That is a very creditable performance, Kelly. And as we say, right in the mix, I mean, just behind the world record holder, Lily King in 5th. Tatiana Smith takes the gold, Tang of China with the silver, and Mona McSherry, the close-up on her face, a joy to behold this evening, bronze for Ireland.
Listening to what you were saying about Angara Evans and her swim, do you think she'll be pleased with that? Will that have been what she's expected? I know we're saying it's not about the time, it's about the race, but different swimmers are coming into these finals with different expectations, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, it depends what context we're looking at. She's going to be disappointed, right? She's in 0.2 of a second chance of winning a medal. You know, it's very, very close. She's going to have to go and talk to Sharon Davis. You know, she's probably going to be disappointed at that point, just reflecting immediately on it. But let's have a look where she was last year. She was almost outside the top 50 in the world. Her improvement has been brilliant, and you know, 65 seconds for 100 breaststroke is brilliant swimming, and I think she's got huge potential in the sport. And let's hope it affects her in the right way and she kicks on.
Let's hand back to the Rugby Sevens. Great Britain in action against USA. Philippa Tuttiett and Sarah Orchard.
Thanks, Kelly. Second half underway in this quarter-final. Great Britain 7, USA 5. Philippa Tuttiett, who's watching this match here on 5 Live. There was a huge moment at the end of the first half as we just watched the USA fly over the line for their second try. Is dotted down in the end by Kirsty Kirsch. She'll be happy with that, but we do just want to give a little moment as the USA go 10-7 ahead to Jasmine Joyce of Great Britain, who put in one of the most amazing tackles to try and block out the USA right at the end of the first half.
Oh, absolutely. We've got to give it a shout out, haven't we? Alona Meyer, who we were just talking about earlier, one of the most prolific try scorers for Team USA, one of the strongest. Pretty much it was a Goliath effort to bring her down. You've got a 6-foot runner against a 4'2" on a good day, Jasmine Joyce, but she got her down. It was a try-saving tackle. But equally, you've got to give credit now to Team USA within the opening seconds of the second half. They've done exactly what the coach has told them to do, put pressure on that restart, get that ball back, and they've scored.
Right then, all the pressure now on Great Britain, having led for most of that first half. They now trail 12 points to 7 against the USA. The USA had a good World Series. They managed to end up finishing 4th in the end. They come into the Paris Olympics as the 4th seeds. Great Britain, they come in as 8th. So the fact that they've got this draw in the quarterfinals, they'll be pretty pleased with it, we have to say. They're just going to scrum down now because there was a not-top ball from the restart, so it is going to be a Great Britain scrum. Worth saying that the crowd that has packed into the Stade de France, it was a record crowd yesterday for women's rugby, not just in 7s but in 15s as well, because there were 66,000 tickets sold yesterday. That was the most ever for a standalone game. The record before that was 58,000. That was for England against France at Twickenham as the USA break away once again. They expect that record will have been broken again once they've counted all the ticket receipts once again today. So a big moment for women's rugby is happening at this Paris Olympics. Right, ball on the floor. It's still GBs. They've got a long way to go though, because they're stuck back inside of their own half of the field. They finished 4th at the last 2 Olympic Games, the worst of all the places to finish. And whoever wins this quarter-final will end up heading into the semi-finals against New Zealand. They're the current gold medal winners, and it's a penalty to USA, Phil.
Yeah, it is. It was just a turnover there. They managed to put good pressure on the ground and steal the ball on the floor, but the Team GB player was just penalised for holding on, desperately trying to keep hold of that possession, because we know how important and vital possession is in sevens, and at the moment USA are having the most of it.
Okay, Great Britain decided to bring on the cavalry, changing 3 players at the same time. When you name your sevens team, you've got a squad of 12. So you can make the changes and make them quite quickly, bring on those fresh legs, because Phil, you can tell us better than most as a former sevens captain. It gets a bit tiring after a bit, doesn't it?
It can get a bit tasty, yeah. I have to say, I've been lucky to play a couple of different sports, but I may be biased. I think sevens is one of the most, you've got the highest level of fitness, not only your cardiovascular, your ability to breathe, but also your power and your agility, as we are seeing now Alona Meyer going on another powerful break.
She loves a big fend where she tries to push the players away so they can't tackle her, but it is Great Britain who bring the USA women down. Doesn't matter if you've got over 1 million TikTok followers, you can still be tackled. Can Eilif Kelter, though? She's one of these women who is just all business when it comes to rugby Kelter. She actually tried to qualify for the USA bobsleigh team at the Olympics a few years ago, and also ice hockey, but she's found her place in rugby as they break away the USA here. Oh, it's going to be a great try for the USA to put them in front. Touchdown in the end by Sammy Sullivan, and the 26-year-old has just given the USA a comfort blanket in this quarter-final. USA 17, Great Britain 7, Phil.
Again, it's all about that possession, isn't it? Came from that turnover, that penalty. USA managing to hold on the ball and then just using that strength and power game. We saw a lovely offload. What you might see in offloads in the 15s game would be the ball maybe only travelling a metre or two to the supportive player, but in sevens, when the skill set is that high, we're seeing offloads that are putting a 5-6 metre passes out of contact, and that's what we saw here, which just got Sammy Sullivan on the outside edge to score. Really good try.
Big pressure moments now coming in this quarter-final for Great Britain. Another try for the USA and it will all be over. There just won't be the time to come back, but the way sevens works, the way it is so fast, if they get a good restart here, Great Britain, 2 minutes 43 seconds on the clock, there is time for them to do it. Great Britain 7, USA 17. It's Great Britain who have gathered the ball off the restart. Here comes the Great Britain player Ellie Kildunn. She was named the sevens on the sevens GB team, and it's Jazz Joyce who tries to break away down the left here, the Welsh woman. She's been caught though. Oh, is she going to be done for holding on the floor? Yes, she is. I mean, that was a really good set there by the USA to get the ball back, Phil.
Oh, that was incredible defence there. That was really gutsy. I mean, it's one thing to be fit in attack, but your true fitness shines when you're up against it in defence. And not only was Jasmine Joyce chased back, but there were 3-4 Team USA players all around her way before the rest of Team GB. That's how they were able to challenge for that ball on the ground and win it back.
Ariana Ramsey, who was flying back there to make sure that Jazz Joyce shall not pass. She made an incredible tackle to bring down the USA, but she got one in return in the second half in kind. Right, 2 minutes left to go. Great Britain 7, USA 17. Great Britain have got to do something here if they want to make these semi-finals and be in medal contention. If they don't win this, it means that they will end up having to go into the placings matches as the ball just comes away then back towards the USA. A try now for the USA and it will all be over for Great Britain. Ellie Kildunn just trying to go in for the choke tackle and hold up the USA. Great Britain need the ball back. 1 minute 40 seconds to go as they try and drag Eilif Kelter into touch on the far side. It's a good, well-worked move there by Great Britain as Jazz Joyce gets to throw the ball in, and they've got to shift some now. Right then, Great Britain 7, USA 17, 1 minute and a half. A try now for Great Britain, gives enough time to go and get another. Meg Jones is on the ball, pops it off, manages to find support in Wilson Hardy. Down it comes once again, huge tackle coming in, raining down there on the GB players. Is it turnover ball? No, penalty to Great Britain. Clock is against them though, 1 minute 10 seconds left. Not to ball, they have to restart with a scrum, and Phil, this is where Great Britain do need to move fast.
Yeah, they did. They just tried to take that quick penalty, but I think she actually knocked it on in the process, and ball's now been turned over to USA. So much going on there. You can see the ambition of Jasmine Joyce trying to get that ball back into play. They desperately tried to attack, but you've got to give credit to Team USA then. There's a saying in sevens, you allowed your defence to bend, but you never break, and they really did fluctuate, but you could see they were connected, and they've managed to put enough pressure on in defence to force that error and get that ball back.
Well, we can already see the smiles on the bench of the USA. They think they had done this now. Their coach, Emily Bidewell, satisfied already with an evening's work. It looks like they're going to be heading into the semi-finals, and they're breaking away now. Is this all curtains now for GB? 30 seconds on the clock. It would take something super special now. They trail by 10 in the Stade de France. This is their quarter-final. All they can do is play for placings if they don't win this. Here come the USA, still firing away. They're going to be dragged down by GB inside of their own 22. Damage limitation surely now for GB. 10 seconds on the clock. There's going to be no medal contention here for GB. The USA, they're going to be the ones that progress. It's a penalty now for the USA, who have this game totally in their control. You can hear the hooter once this ball is off the field. I can see tears in the eyes of Emily Bidewell, and that's the USA going into a semi-final of the Rugby Sevens. It means Great Britain, they still play at the Olympics, but it's just for placings, Phil.
Oh, and you can see it on the players' faces, can't you? This is not how they wanted it to finish out. They were full of such positivity, and they really did look good in the earlier stages of this tournament, but on sharp contrast to that, as you can see Team USA celebrating. They've always been so close and yet so far, and with Emily Bidewell, the only female coach of this tournament, it would be great to see if she can be the one that can take this Team USA to the top.
Plenty for Team GB to think about in Rugby Sevens going forward. The men didn't qualify, and the women, they haven't made it through to those placings matches. They're going to make their way off. Plenty to ponder. Games still to play, but there will be no medals. It is finished in the quarterfinals. GB 7, USA 17.
Thank you very much for that, Sarah Orchard and Philippa Tuttiet, bringing you commentary of that here at the La Défense Arena at the pool. We've just seen the medal presentation of Thomas Ceccon, who won the men's 100 metres backstroke. Everybody thoroughly enjoyed the Italian anthem. Everybody singing and clapping along inside the stadium, and he's just been absolutely swamped by friends, family and teammates, and he's now just showing his medal off to the photographers here inside the arena. Coming up very shortly, the women's 200 metres freestyle, and this, Karen Pickering, is an absolutely fascinating matchup.
Yeah, it certainly is. The two Australians in lanes 4 and 5, the fastest two qualifiers. Ariane Titmus in the centre lane, Molly O'Callaghan, her younger teammate from St Peter's Western in Brisbane. They train together, they race together, they're on relays together, but up against each other in an Olympic final. And Molly O'Callaghan was the world record holder until the Australian trials, where Ariane Titmus took that world record. So these guys, they have very different ways of racing. With Molly O'Callaghan, despite she's the sprinter of the two, she is the one that finishes incredibly strong. What we call negative split, comes back faster than she goes out in her races, which is pretty extraordinary. And Ariane Titmus, though, she is a fierce competitor. So it's going to be a very, very exciting matchup.
Did you see the shots of them in the ready room, Kelly? So where they sit before they come out, the swimmers, they were sitting next to each other, but they weren't looking at each other and they weren't talking to each other. But you wouldn't expect that anyway, would you, Steve, in the ready room?
No. I mean, the ready room is a fascinating environment. You've got to get in there 15 minutes before the start of your race. You've got to make sure that you're registered to be able to swim, and it's an incredibly tense environment. You know, you're about to swim against the other 7 people for something you've been training for 12 years, and the only people you got to look at, you know, talk to are your competitors. I didn't really enjoy the ready room that much, but you know, some guys stalk around the ready room, you know, like, you know, looking for prey, and others listen to their music and hide themselves away. But yeah, it was interesting seeing them sit next to each other. Karen mentioned there the world record went to Titmus in Australia. Molly O'Callaghan also went under, and she was so emotional after that. Swim at the trials. And I think Dean Boxall, coach of them both, has said after the last Olympics, it was Ariane Titmus's Olympics last time, and the next one will be Molly O'Callaghan. That's what he said to Callaghan. we'll see if that materialises over the next 10 minutes.
Do you think he said the same to Ariana though?
Well,
do you know what? You're my favourite. You're my favourite.
Yeah, but he's one of them. He said publicly, which is the one that she might be listening to. But look, I'm really interested to think about how training will work with those two, because they're rivals, but they're also teammates, and they will want to be pushing themselves, as much as they can. But is there also an element of not wanting the other one to know too much about them? Are they striking that balance, do you think?
I think their training will be very, very different. So Molly O'Callaghan is a 100, 200 metre swimmer. They only cross over on the 200. Ariana is 248. And so their training will be very different. Ariana needs the speed for the 200, but her work is she does a lot more training, a lot more metres, and will be in the water much longer than Molly O'Callaghan. So she probably feels a bit annoyed, probably seeing Molly get out during the sessions while she's still going.
Also, presumably one of the roles of a coach is to say, these are the weaknesses of your opponent, this is where you can take advantage. How on earth do you coach two swimmers in one race, and not just two swimmers in one race where one is far. It's a bit like F1, I suppose, where you've got a principal driver and then a secondary driver, but where you've got two swimmers who are going into the pool.
Yeah, I mean, Dean Boxall's probably the busiest coach in this arena.
Many ways.
He's got 10. He's got 10 swimmers on the Australian team, so he's got he's going to be very busy boy this week. He's not just got those two. What he is very, very good at is giving them different race plans. You're going to see different race plans from both of these swimmers tonight. And what he has been quoted as saying is, he never shares, obviously, what he's telling them. Although he could, because if you just had one swimmer and you knew what your main competitor's race plan was, you'd be all over it, telling those swimmers. So I think there's a fascinating dynamic. But I think Molly's probably got the edge here. I just think she's got such a strong engine on her, and her back end speed is brilliant. I would expect to see her coming through at the end, but
all of which sets it up for an absolutely fascinating race. And the swimmers are on the way out. Alistair Bruce-Moore.
So you are both tipping, may I just say, Karen and Steve, you're both going for O'Callaghan here to win the gold medal against Titmus.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah. Okay. Who are you going?
Well, I'll go Titmus. I'll go Titmus if you two are taking O'Callaghan.
Yeah.
Ariana Titmus will be out shortly. She's already won a gold medal in the 400 metres freestyle here in Paris. That was her third Olympic gold. What she's trying to do tonight, actually, is complete her 200-metre, 400-metre double that she did in Tokyo. The Olympic champion and the world record holder. This is her main rival, her training partner, the 20-year-old Molly O'Callaghan. I just saw one Australian fan there decked out in the green and gold, and he had giant, incredible Hulk hands on both of his hands, giant green fists. Here's Ariana Titmus striding out in the green and gold of Australia, and on the walk she is taking off that tracksuit top and getting ready to go. So this is the women's 200 metres freestyle final, and we think it is going to be an all-Australian shootout in lanes 4 and 5. Titmus in 4, O'Callaghan in 5, the New Zealander Erica Fairweather in lane 1, Junjuan Yang of China in 2, Claire Weinstein, the American, in 3, Titmus and O'Callaghan in the middle of the pool, Siobhan Haughey, who swims for Hong Kong, won the World Championship title in Doha this year. She's in 6, Barbora Simonova of Czechia in 7, and Mary Sophie Harvey of Canada in lane 8. And the swimmers are ready to get on their blocks. Last race of the night here on the third night of swimming. Matt Richards having taken silver for Great Britain tonight to add to Adam Peaty's silver. Richards silver in the 200 metres freestyle. And this is the women's final of precisely that discipline. Huge roar as the swimmers are into the water. O'Callaghan off the blocks better there, Karen, straight into the lead and powering down lane 5.
Yeah, that's the underwater work of a sprinter right there. She stayed under, did that fly kick, absolutely expert off the wall.
So O'Callaghan and Titmus both heading for the far end of the pool. First of 4 lengths completed. They turn almost simultaneously like clockwork. And then Titmus is out of the water much earlier there, Karen, than O'Callaghan. She was under for a good second, a good sort of 3-4 metres longer. It is very, very close. And O'Callaghan's left. Siobhan Hawhey, the swimmer for Hong Kong, making good ground as well.
Yeah, Siobhan Hawhey, the silver medalist in the 100 and the 200 freestyle for Hong Kong at the Tokyo Olympics. She's been very, very impressive and consistent. And as they come to the halfway point, it is Hawhey who's leading.
Yeah, Hawhey in front, Titmus second, Simonova, the Czech swimmer, in lane 7 in third. The bright yellow caps of the Australian swimmers stand out in the middle of the pool, but Siobhan Hawhey is right alongside them. And keep your eyes on Yang, the young Chinese swimmer, in lane 2 as well. Just over 50 metres to go, Karen. O'Callaghan and Titmus. Titmus might just have the edge at the turn here.
Yeah, she'll go into the turn just ahead, but this is where Molly O'Callaghan has the strength. That underwater work again. She comes up right on terms with both Hawhey and Titmus, and she's ploughing home.
What a finish we've got in this final. Hawhey was quicker than both at the turn, but now O'Callaghan is turning on the power. The younger Australian swimmer getting ahead of Ariana Titmus, trying to displace the Olympic champion, and it looks like she's going to do that. 5 metres to go. Molly O'Callaghan will get the gold. Titmus takes the silver. Hawhey takes bronze. And Molly O'Callaghan just turned on the power in the last 50 metres, brought it home, and wins the gold medal for Australia. Beats her training partner, the great Ariana Titmus. There are smiles. There is an embrace. They are patting each other on the back. They have had a terrific ding-dong in the pool tonight, and you two know a lot more about swimming than me. O'Callaghan takes the gold, Titmus takes the silver.
It was a demolition job, wasn't it? She absolutely took Titmus apart over those last 50 metres. It was almost like she switched, she flicked a switch and turned on the afterburners. She went to her legs with 40 metres to go, and she just powered away from Titmus. An Olympic record, just to underline her authority there, Karen.
Yeah, she was sub 28 seconds on that final 50. So for her to find that speed and the way she swims their races, I love it. I love the fact that she can just bring it home, and she has such a smooth, long stroke as well. It kind of looks effortless. You don't even see where she starts to go quicker, other than that she's easing ahead of the rest of the field. It's a beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah, and it was good to see them embracing there at the end. Big smile on Ariana Titmus's face, and again, she's got strong nail art. I like that as well. Dean Boxall, he's celebrating. I wonder who he's going to go and hug first. What do you reckon, Kelly?
I'm not sure, but that is the one that you'd have to look for. You have to go for the one that finishes first, haven't you? You've got to go for the gold medalist, because if you didn't, then you'd be right to be upset about it. I'm just really interested in having a resident manicurist giving us regular updates on the various elements of nail art. You gave us a lot of depth on that on the diving as well this morning.
I thought it was absolutely amazing. Here, the art that she had on her nails this morning, Scarlett, I thought she would be over-rotating in her dives, because there was so much weight on those nails. I'm like, how are you nailing these dives? But interestingly, do you always go to the first one? Imagine being at sports day with your kids. One wins and one doesn't.
This isn't sports day, though. This is elite level sport. This is the Olympics. You go to the Olympic champion who's just broken the Olympic record at the games. You go to the winner. This is, I remember watching a documentary about jump jockeys, and Ruby Walsh was on it, and he said, and I'm not going to do the accent, mostly because I can't, but he sort of spat out with real disdain this remark where he said, this is professional sport, it's not about the taking part. And this is the thing, they're competing at that level, and it is about taking Olympic gold. And I have to say, you've poisoned our minds, Steve, because at the end of that race, every single one of us was looking to see whether or not they embraced at the end of the race, and there was a very supportive gesture between the two of them, between Ariana Titmus and Molly O'Callaghan.
Cohen Ovett weren't best mates, were they?
They don't have to be.
Yeah, but they didn't train together, did they? I mean, you pointed out that they didn't walk next to each other or embrace after the semi-finals. The semi-finals, I mean, they get out of the pool in so many races, it's not a big deal for them to get out at the same time, is it?
The default position of people that race against other for world medals and Olympic medals wouldn't be one of, this is my favourite person in the world. That's all I'm saying.
That's a tough one for Ariana Titmus to take. Going for the double tonight, she's been denied that. That was her Olympic record that's gone. Molly O'Callaghan has taken that, and obviously O'Callaghan takes the gold. Just in terms of the Ruby Walsh quote, I'm going to fire back with the Baron Pierre de Coubertin quote, the founder of the modern Olympic Games, and his famous quote about this entire shindig is, the important thing in life is not the triumph, but the struggle. The essential thing is not to have conquered, but to have fought well.
Rubbish.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. It's the Olympic Games. That's fine in park sport, or it's fine in terms of your journey to getting towards the end. It's fine if your ambitions aren't to be an Olympic gold medalist, but if that is your aim, that has to be the mentality of an elite sport person, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think after the fact, when you look back on your career,
championships, you want to win. It's not about the struggle.
No, and when you look back, you can look back and be proud of the times when you came through the struggle and making the teams and being an Olympian and scraping into finals and all the rest of it. But on the day, you're just looking to be the best.
And that is what happened this evening for Molly O'Callaghan, who took gold in the women's 200 metres freestyle. She's beaten her countrymate Ariana Titmus, and she has taken her Olympic record as well. We're going to be rounding off a really big day of action in the Olympics today. Loads of medals for Team GB to take you through as well. And we'll find out how Delicious Ori got on as he kicked off his first ever Olympic campaign. That's coming up after the BBC News with Dan Maudsley.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Thank you. And just to bring you up to date now on events in Southport this morning, because it is now known that 2 children have died and 9 others have been injured, 6 critically, following this morning's knife attack in Southport. Police say the attacker walked into a community hall where a yoga dance class was being held for children aged 6 to 10. A 17-year-old boy arrested at the scene remains in custody. As well as the children, 2 adults injured in the attack are also in a critical condition. Merseyside Police Chief Constable Serena Kennedy gave this update.
We believe that the adults who were injured were bravely trying to protect the children who were being attacked. As a mum and a nana, I can't begin to imagine the pain and suffering that the families of the victims are going through at this moment in time.
Well, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has been giving his response, describing today's events as truly awful.
I know I speak for everybody in the whole country in saying our thoughts and condolences with the victims, their families, their friends and the wider community. And it's almost impossible to imagine the grief that they're going through and the trauma that they're going through. I do want to thank the emergency services of Merseyside Police who've had to respond to the most difficult of circumstances.
The Prime Minister speaking this evening, a short while after that news conference, confirming that 2 of the children injured in this morning's attack in Southport have died. We have also had tonight this message from the King. It reads, "My wife and I have been profoundly shocked to hear of the utterly horrific incident in Southport today. We send our most heartfelt condolences, prayers and deepest sympathies to the families and loved ones of those who've tragically lost their lives and to all those affected by this truly appalling attack." That message from King Charles, issued in the last hour by Buckingham Palace. 2 other headlines to bring you. The former BBC presenter Hugh Edwards, who was arrested last year following allegations in the Sun newspaper, has been charged with 3 counts of making indecent images of children. He'll appear before magistrates in Westminster on Wednesday. And the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, has announced cuts, including restricting winter fuel payments to those on pension credit and other means-tested benefits. She told Parliament the government needed to save money after inheriting an overspend of £22 billion from the Conservatives. Well, that's the news for now. Gordon Smart will be here from 10 with all the latest. Live coverage of events in Southport continues on the BBC News app and on News Channel and the live page at bbc.co.uk/news.
The Olympic Games, Paris 2024.
With Kelly Kears.
From BBC Radio 5 Live.
Hello, welcome back to the La Défense Arena and the swimming pool here in Paris for the Olympics 2024. Big news in the pool as far as Team GB is concerned is that Matt Richards got silver in the men's 200 metres freestyle. He was so close to taking the gold, but a very creditable silver for him. And in the women's 200 metre freestyle, it was a head-to-head between the two Aussie swimmers. Molly O'Callaghan came out on top ahead of Ariana Titmus, and she broke Ariana Titmus's Olympic record in doing so. Busy day for Team GB as well, with medals galore. We're going to round that up over the next hour or so. But we'll start by heading over to the boxing, where Team GB's Delicious Ori has kicked off his first Olympic campaign. Over to Conor McNamara.
It is the second last bout of the evening at the boxing hall at the North Paris Arena. And it is time for Delicious Ori to make his Olympic debut. The 27-year-old, based in Wolverhampton, and one of the big hopes in the boxing ring for Team GB over the next fortnight here in Paris. Out he comes, recognising some familiar faces in the crowd, gives a smile, gives a wave. You interviewed him, Steve Bunce, in the build-up to this event, and he said that he was going to have a few nerves. He's containing them pretty well so far here.
He is containing them, but I like that. He was pensive in that little tunnel before he walked, talking to Gary Howe, one of the coaches. And as he made his way to the ring there was a moment he raised his left hand to some Union flags off to our left and his left. And then he took a deep breath, and that's what I remember in the interview. That's what I wanted to see. I didn't want him coming, as I call it, kissing babies' heads. I want him coming in, showing a little bit of nerves, showing a little bit of that, because that leads to what you need. A little bit of fear, Conor, a little bit of fear.
This is what all the preparation has been for. Knockout boxing at the Olympics. You lose your first bout, you go home. But Delicious Ori has ambitions of going all the way to the finals, which will be held at Roland Garros, the tennis stadium elsewhere in Paris. The opponent tonight, David Chaloyan of Armenia, won silver at the World Championships 3 years ago. Delicious Ori out of the blue corner, immediately into the centre of the ring, stretching out with that long left arm of his, trying to follow up with the right. Both boxers very tall, 6'6" tall. These are the big boys. This is the super heavyweight division.
It's a super heavyweight division, and I'll tell you what, he started like a middleweight, Delicious. He's not leaving anything. He's not gonna get back at the end of the first round and realise he's had a lazy minute. That's a fast and a very positive start. Big jab, high guard. That's how he control it. That's how he should be able to dominate it.
This contest, three-minute rounds. There's not an awful lot of time to impress, but we have already seen in the super heavyweight division technical knockouts earlier on today that some of the big guys do go down when they're hit, as both boxers still teasing each other around. A good response from the Armenian Chaloyan as he tries to respond to the energetic start from Delicious Ori representing Team GB.
Delicious beat him last year, so he knows the strength. He's been in there with him. He hasn't got a lot of fear of him actually as a fighter. The fear is of not performing. And I'll tell you what, Conor, it looks to me after only a minute, with only a minute or so gone, that Delicious is trying to get that right hand into play properly, i.e. cause some damage with it.
He's got black shoes with bright orange heels in them, and he's up on the toes all the time, Delicious Ori, and reaching with that left, trying to follow up the right as one swooshes over the head of a ducking David Chaloyan, who tries to get out of the way. Neither fighter has landed a really huge punch, but every time that they can connect with the gloves, they will be impressing the judges, the 5 judges who are sitting in white shirts all around the ring in front of a crowd that has been noisy all evening, but is taking in the importance of this bout here with Delicious Ori of Team GB with 1 minute 15 seconds remaining in round 3, and he's been caught there. That was good from Chaloyan, who's just beginning to grow in confidence into the final minute now of round 1.
Chaloyan's trying to let his own big right hand go, and he's missed for about 5, but he half caught Delicious there. That's only because Delicious got a bit greedy, as we call it. He let one shot go and missed, and he let the second shot go. You don't do that. One shot lands, you throw the second. This is a very competitive opening round.
Not much between them here. Team GB, which won 5 medals in the boxing in Tokyo, their most in over a century. Only 3 Team GB boxers, though, still in contention here in Paris 2024. Just over 30 seconds remaining in round 1. And it's a pursuit by Delicious Ore of his opponent, trying to get in close when he can, but with those long stretching arms of Chaladan, who catches Delicious Ore there, it is difficult for the Team G boxer to get in close.
So I wonder what's going to happen with the scoring. We've seen some odd swaves of scoring. They've awarded boxing, they've awarded aggression, they've awarded movement. We're going to see tonight, because I think Ore's won this 7 or 8 times. He's landed cleanly, and maybe Chaladan's landed once, so he should win it clearly. Who knows? We'll find out.
There is the hammer. 10 seconds to go in round one. Can either boxer gain 1 or 2 late points in this first round? There is the bell. The end of round one. Delicious Ore retreats to the blue corner, and the body language of both fighters suggests they know they're in a battle here.
Ore's won that 5-0. All 5 judges, Ireland, German, Norway, Guam and Australia, have all gone for Delicious Ore. A technical fight, but Connor, is it just me, or could you sense the tension there?
Absolutely.
And that's the pressure on his shoulders. But as I said in the interview, and I told you before, when we were having something to eat over in IKEA again, as I told you then, he likes that pressure. He's a big event fighter, Connor. He'll thrive on a bit of pressure, knowing he's got to win. 3 defeats from 3 starts. He's got to stop. It's not the rot. He's got to stop it now and make us 3-1 and give us, as the unofficial captain, a boost.
Yes, we've come to the culinary capital of the world, but we're out by the airport. We're in a big retail park, and the culinary options aren't too wide and varied out here, but we haven't come for the grub. We've come for the boxing. And here we go, ready for round 2 in the North Paris Arena, close to Charles de Gaulle Airport, as Delicious Ore immediately straight into the centre of the ring, trying to force his Armenian opponent to the side. Chaladan tries to stretch in after him. All the scores in favour of the Team GB boxer, all 10-9, which shows that the judges didn't think there was an awful lot in it. So still a lot of work for Delicious Ore to do, but he has impressed the judges so far in what's been a technical, tactical battle between these 2 fighters. That's a better combination. A swooshing left and right by Chaladan. He's not quite catching Delicious Ore, but he forced him to step back. Here comes the response for the man from Wolverhampton. Swings a right, not quite sure he connected. Might have grazed against the chin.
And you know what? That was a direct response, and I'm not a big fan of that. I love that he did it, but it was like, I nearly got caught, so I'm going to hit you back. It's terrific fun. He needs to just stick with the jab. The jab's doing the work. Richie Woodall, commentating for BBC TV behind us, he'll be delighted with the jab. He works with Delicious for about 12 hours a week. Big jab, that's all you need, Connor.
Delicious Ore has been sparring with Anthony Joshua in preparation for this. He's hoping to become the new Anthony Joshua in terms of Team GB status at the Olympics. But with 1 minute 45 seconds remaining in round 2, he is looking comfortable here. He's just taken a little step. There hasn't been quite the energy, but he's trying to gain control, and you can see a little bit more desperation from Chaladan now, who's beginning to reach in, and Delicious Ore's just got to step away to try and keep out of that barrage. Now comes the response from Delicious Ore. The gloves are up defensively by Chaladan, who's now beginning to pursue and beginning to dominate the centre of the ring a little bit more in round 2.
Yeah, he certainly looks more active, but Delicious is picking him off. And just for 2 seconds, take your eyes off Delicious' hands and look at Delicious' feet. This is an 18-stone man of 6'6", moving like a featherweight, moving like a man of 9 stone. That's quality.
He gets in, he gets his work done, and then he gets away before there can be any response from the Armenian opponent. And still up on those toes, Delicious Ore just bobbing, weaving his head, dipping shoulders, trying to attack from slightly different angles each time. Chaladan tries an attack, but that's a strong response from Ore, and that's one of the firmest hits that he's connected with so far tonight. 40 seconds to go in round 2.
He's looking for that right hand. He fancies. He's sparred with Chaladan a lot, and he's boxed him and beat him once. I think Delicious fancies he can take him out with that right hand, because he's throwing it, Connor, with real intent. It's not a feeling shot, it's a finishing shot.
This is the round of 16. You win this, you're into the quarter-final. You would be just 1 win away from a medal. Both losing semi-finalists get bronze, and of course Delicious Ore has got his sights set on even better than that. He's got 15 seconds remaining in round 2, ahead on the judges' scorecards from the first round. Delicious Ore hoping that he's done enough to do the same in this second round, as the referee just briefly comes in to separate them in the closing seconds of the second round. The clock stops, and there's something issue with the shorts of the Armenian.
His vest was out. We're prim and proper in the boxing arena, my friend. Prim and proper.
Keep it tucked in. Right, seconds remaining in round 2. One last little left jab from Delicious Ore, and there is the bell, and we wait to see the scorecards of the judges after round 2. And it's not all in his favour. There is a split decision across round 2. That was better from Charilan, the Armenian.
3-2 to Chalian in that round. So what we have now, we got the 5 scores. Delicious is in front on 2 of them by 2 points, and the other 3 are drawn 19, 19, 19. So none of the 3 judges believe that Chalian's in front. 2 believe Delicious is in front. So everything to play for in this particular round.
Delicious Aurier, the 27-year-old, born in Russia, moved to England as a 7-year-old, didn't have a word of English at the time, ended up becoming a top student, went on to get a master's degree in economics, only took up boxing at the age of 18, and here he is now going into the 3rd round with work to do against an improving opponent in David Chailan, whose stature in this fight has grown, and he certainly had a better 2nd round than a 1st. And which way is the pendulum going to swing in this 3rd? Very energetic start to the 3rd round from both boxers here. Punches being thrown, heads ducking out of the way of them as Chalian tries to get control of that central position in the ring. Delicious Aurier still up on his toes, just bobbing the head, waiting for a moment to try and strike, goes in low just as Chalian sweeps away, and the referee steps in to swap them, and we've had 30 seconds of round 3.
It's 30 seconds, it's a very frantic and frenetic start to this 3rd round. I'd like to see Delicious control it a little bit easier, take his time, because the judges can see, the 5 judges can see those big right hands from Chalian. They might be winning him this fight. This is poised with 2 minutes left.
Yeah, the crowd are enjoying what they're seeing from the Armenian there. It's been a good last 30 seconds to go for David Charilan as he tries to gain control of a bout that he'd lost the 1st round but had a very good 2nd, and now there's a little bit of desperation creeping in for Delicious Aurier as he swings a huge haymaker punch and misses. Now he goes to work a bit closer, left right quick combination into the face of the Armenian. Big finish needed by Delicious Aurier here with 90 seconds of the bout to go.
He's got 90 seconds to change his boxing life and to change GB's boxing history at this particular Olympics. He's got to go for it. He's got to forget about the next fight on Friday and leave it all in the ring this evening. Let his hands go, 2s and 3s and 4s.
Charilan just backs away, uses the ropes then to propel him forward, gets in and earns a point or 2 before backing, and the composure has grown from the Armenian right the way through the bout. He connects with another left hand there. Delicious Aurier knows he's got to get a few points. That's a good solid left. Got through to the chest. Then he goes in again with another left. Hands it down from the Armenian as Delicious Aurier tries to get up on his toes. That's a good connection of a right hand, and you can see almost a swelling redness of the face of the Armenian there on the impact of that. And when these guys hit, you really feel it reverberate. Some of the lighter divisions, it's pat-a-pat stuff from a distance. You can feel the thud of the punches here with 40 seconds to go in round 3.
And you can see the arc. Delicious had his right toe dug into this canvas to get a little bit more power on that shot. He is pushing it desperately here. Danger with that, Connor, is you can get hit with a big counter, and a big 1 or 2 punches could win this fight with 30 seconds left.
Chance of encouragement coming from the crowd. Ori, they were chanting there. Just over 20 seconds to go. Both fighters will probably feel that they might have done enough here. Who can impress in the very closing stages? Left thrown by Delicious Aurier doesn't connect. Then another one the same. Skipping away motion by Charilan, who doesn't want to be caught late on here. The pursuit is on from Delicious Aurier. Brings him into the blue corner. Double combination connection, and Charilan has to duck away and basically runs out of that corner to avoid as the bell rings for the end of the bout. An energetic close to round 3.
I tell you what, Chalian thinks he's got that. He spent the last 30 seconds retreating. Delicious couldn't cut the ground down between Chalian's retreat and the ropes, allowed him to move away. Just showed a little bit of inexperience there. I think Delicious has nicked that last round. But let me warn people now. If it were to go to Chalian, it's not a robbery, it's not a fix, it's just a tight decision. Delicious clearly won the first round. Chalian nicked the second. The third round, I thought Delicious nicked it. I'd be surprised if at least 1 or 2 of the judges don't think he won that round. It's going to be really, really, really tight.
You're hearing the ooze from the crowd in the background. They're watching the replays of the big screen of some of the big hits that were put in by each of the boxers in that third round, and there were some really big strikes and collisions. Delicious Aurier with his hands up to his eyes, and I'm sure inside just hoping and praying that this decision goes his way. Charilan has got his finger pointed in the air. He believes he's done enough. In the red corner, David Charilan, silver medal winner of the World Championships 3 years ago, eliminates the big hope of Team GB. Delicious Aurier is out. It is so cruel in Olympic boxing. There are no second chances. There was not much to choose between those two fighters, but it's the Armenian who celebrates the victory. And for Delicious Aurier, the dream comes to an extremely abrupt end. He is out.
Britain's biggest medal hope in the boxing exits the Olympics. Steve Bunce has been speaking to Ori.
Yeah, I think I did just about enough to win, to be honest with you. But you can make an argument, I guess. I need to watch it back and have a look, but I think I just slightly edged it there.
I mean, you had a very, very good first round, and you had a decent enough third round. Didn't have a bad second. He was just a little bit busier in that round.
Yeah, it appeared he was a little bit busy. He scored the more eye-catching shots, the ones that I shouldn't have let through my guard, but it happened.
It's been a short, hard journey for you. You're not one of those 8-year on the international scene. 3 hard years since Belgrade in 2021. You can still be proud of yourself. It's been a real journey.
Yeah, it's been real good. Like, the escalation has been great, and unfortunately it's come to a hard stop in my amateur career. It's something that I'm going to have to hold for the rest of my life, and at the moment I feel like it's breaking me, but I think in a few years I'm a mature enough individual who can look back and think I gave it all, so that's all I could have done.
You've been under a bit of pressure, haven't you? I mean, especially with the 3 defeats this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've been under a bit of pressure, but that wasn't the reason why what happened today happened. It's just because I just let a little bit more stupid shots in that I shouldn't have, and that was it.
But he's a big man. He's a silver medalist in the Worlds, and people maybe need to understand that we've been having great success, but we're fighting nations that have got guys that have been Olympics, got world medals, got European medals.
Yeah. He's good level, but I should be, beating that type of level in order to achieve the things I wanted to achieve. But unfortunately, I just have to suck it up, move on. That's sport, and I've just been in the wrong end of it. I'll just have to accept it with both hands.
And finally, when you were standing there in the middle, you're looking out at the crowd, there are Union flags everywhere, you feel you've done enough. You're a big event fighter, you and I talked about that. What was your reaction? What was going on inside your head and heart when that decision was announced?
I've let everybody down. I've let Great Britain down. I have. I'm really upset. Hold on.
Take a second, son. You haven't let anybody down. Take a second. Just take another second. You've not let anybody down. You've fought your heart out there, okay? 3 years ago, this would have been a crazy dream. Don't forget that.
Yeah. I just have to lick my wounds and carry on, I guess. Yeah.
Go on, son, you get yourself off.
Thank you.
Top boy.
Delicious Ori talking to Steve Bunce, and Buncey and Conor McNamara join us now. It's been a really emotional couple of days for Great Britain's boxers. There's been so much disappointment. I know, Buncey, that you've been saying from the beginning it was a really hard draw, but there was so much expectation on Delicious Ori, and even if, as you were saying to him, he hasn't let anybody down, you can understand why he would feel the weight of that.
As he said, he feels broken. I've done 4 interviews this weekend. In 3 of them, they've ended up crying, and I've walked away with a tear in my eye, and that's not my idea of fun. I felt for Delicious tonight. I thought he could have got it, but as I pointed out in the commentary there, Kelly, it wasn't a disgrace. It wasn't a fix. He just maybe could have done a little bit more in the second. I thought he nicked the third. He dominated the first. It's a hard event, and the GB boxers, they've got targets on their back. We've been so dominant since Beijing. London was our Olympics. Even at the last Olympics in Tokyo, we won more medals than Cuba. More medals. They just won more gold medals. That's GB winning more medals than Cuba, the greatest boxing nation in amateur boxing history. What we're having here is a bit of a reality check. Sure, Rosie Eccles, yesterday, that was a terrible decision, and it needs to be looked at. Charlie Davison was close on Saturday, as was Delicious today. No great fixes are in, but there's some very, very, very broken, and they're young men. They're young. Delicious is only 27 years of age. They're kids. They're still kids. And I felt for the boy back there, I really did. You could hear it in his voice, and I think you could hear it in my voice as well.
Yeah, it was such an emotional interview. And Conor, it's hard when the British boxers have gone out in such different circumstances, whether it's been a close fight, whether, as it was for Delicious Ori, whether it was controversial for Rosie Eccles. It's hard to kind of give a blanket reason as to why Britain's boxers haven't reached the same heights in this games as they have done in prior ones.
No, and I know. I mean, I did the boxing in Rio 2 games ago, and I remember that came in after a real high of London 2012, and there was great optimism of stepping on. And Rio was a big disappointment, and a little bit like Paris, a lot of the Team G boxers went out early in Brazil. But then Tokyo was the sort of reminder of how good Team GB can be, and 5 medals were brought home. It says an awful lot about the momentum to be able to bounce back and do that. And I think coming in, slightly different. A lot has been said about the fact there's just the 3 years between Tokyo and here. And in boxing terms, in the cycle they try and get into, that has disrupted how many could come in the team. Only 6, which is small. But then now you've got 4 of the 6 already eliminated. And we've spoken, I've been listening to you and Chappers earlier on and throughout the day, and so many high moments and ecstasy and people having the time of their lives and moments they'll never forget. But there's the other side of it too. There's the stinging hurt that you'll never forget, and we're seeing that night after night here in the boxing arena. And it's going to take, there's going to be a lot looked into here, and it's going to take a lot for Team GB to get over what we've seen so far.
Yeah, what happens now, Bunsey?
Well, what happens now is that on Wednesday we've got Chantel Reid and Lewis Richardson boxing in on the one day, and Chantel Reid's against this. She's against the absolute, seemingly untouchable world number 1, so that's a hard one. Lewis Richardson, fantastic backstory. He's got every chance of coming through. He's not got the easy draw. No one got an easy draw. Even Delicious didn't get an easy draw. Let's hope Lewis comes through. As I say, but I can't stop reiterating. It's not that we're bad. It's just that everyone is so good. There is there's no easy days here. You don't get to play someone or fight someone who's a novice at it. They don't stick in like they did years ago when they stuck that guy in from the South Sea Islands to run in 100-metre heats. Do you remember? Or Eric the Eel. But that doesn't happen in boxing. I'm laughing through tears here almost. But it doesn't happen in boxing. It's brutal. He's fighting. Delicious tonight fought an Armenian guy from the army who's been all around the world. He wins $50,000 and $60,000 when he gets a medal at major events, and he's a 6'6" guy like Delicious, a little bit heavier, and Delicious lost. We don't have any God-given right or rights from any of the superstars in the world to win. We have to come to these Olympics and scrap it out, and so far we've had 3 decisions go against us. One of them was dreadful, the other 2 were tight. That's the reality, and I'm not celebrating it. I'm just giving you the cold hard facts, Kelly, before I sling myself down these stairs and find the first bar I can possibly find.
Bunsey, do you want me to tell you something to cheer you up? You
Please.
know Eric the Eel, who you mentioned?
Yep.
And obviously had to swim on his own, and he'd never swum 50 metres in one go beforehand, and he carried on with swimming after the Olympics, and he managed to reach not far off Olympic times, and he went home and he established the first swimming centre, and he went on to have and so there's a real sort of good news ending to the Eric the Eel story. So I thought that might cheer you up after what's been disappointing in terms of the boxing.
That cheers me up immensely. I've already started on the pitch. That's what I'm doing on September. My new documentary series, I'm going to start with Eric the Eel, the heroes we never knew we had. That's the name of it. I'm pitched. I'm ready.
Ready, and I will be looking forward to listening to it. And Team GB goes again on Wednesday in the boxing. Bunsey and Conor, thank you very much. Really good to hear from both of you. Let's check in on the 4th quarter of the Rugby Sevens between Australia and Ireland. It's Philippa Tuttiett and Sarah Orchard.
Thanks ever so much, Kelly. The final quarter-final, Australia against Ireland, and already it will come as no surprise for anyone who's been following this competition so far. Australia lead 5-0. Now, of course, in the Rugby Sevens, the way that it works, you get to the quarter-finals. If you win, you go to the semi-finals, and then there's a gold medal match, and then there's a bronze medal match, depending on how you finish. Earlier this evening, unfortunately, Great Britain, they are out. They ended up losing this evening in their quarter-final to the USA, 17 points to 7. New Zealand, they progressed through. They absolutely thumped China, 55 points to 5. And huge scenes inside of the Stade de France a few moments ago when Canada knocked out France, 19 points to 14. Reflect on the match that's in front of us in a moment. But Philippa Tatiet, I mean, devastation from the French players.
Oh, absolute devastation. They have been a team that have been so close so many times, and you really felt that home advantage would just get them over it. And you know what? They've played well this tournament, but you did have just a feeling of nerves. You know, I think the occasion maybe got to them, but credit to Canada. They took their opportunities, and they were very much the underdogs in that game, but they came through.
We'll all focus now on the match that we are watching. Australia and Ireland, they're playing for the right to take on Canada in the semi-finals tomorrow. Ireland fighting away at the moment out on the far side of the field. They're going forward inside of the Australian half with 4 minutes of the first half still to play. Australia 5, Ireland 0. Now these two, they did actually meet in the pool stage as Bevan Parsons goes in for the big fender. She goes over into the 22 for the women in green, but she's holding on the ball on the floor, so Australia will pull away. The try from Australia came from Madison Levi, who on average scores a try every other time she touches the ball, but at the moment as she goes over for another, I think it's 100% of the time she touches the ball, Philippa.
Oh, Maddie Levi is we are so lucky to have her in the game. She's just incredible. Made her debut of sevens in the last Olympics in Tokyo, so she's still relatively new to the game, yet you wouldn't think it. She won the top try scorer in the HSBC World 7 Series this year, scoring 57 tries. Just to put that into context, Terry Kennedy won the same accolade for the men, scoring 31, and that was huge, but she got 57. And I make that now her 9th try so far in this tournament. Incredible.
Yeah, she really is a name for the sport, and whenever she gets her hands on the ball, it's just danger must flash across all the eyes of her opposition every time. So yeah, her 10th try now she scored in this tournament. So Australia 12, Ireland 0. We've still got 2.5 minutes of the first half to play. Ireland found themselves in this predicament of taking on Australia after they lost 2 of their pool games. They lost to GB, then they lost to Australia, so they've ended up meeting them again at this stage. In their pool stage game, it ended up with the final score Australia 19, Ireland 14, so it was quite close in the end. And Ireland, they have had their moments. This has been a wonderful season for them. At the start of the year, they beat the Australians in Perth, which is pretty much unheard of. And the IRFU has invested so much in its women's programme, at times at the expense of 15s, so they could focus on a big moment at the Olympics, as we now see the Australians breaking away again. Oh my goodness, Levi, she's going to go over for a hat-trick. She makes it look so easy. She's just such an athlete, Phil.
Oh, she's absolutely incredible. Yeah, I mean, you have got to give credit to the playmakers around her. I think, you know, how many times have we talked about teams having fantastic wingers, yet we don't see them getting into the game enough. And yes, there's always that personal ownership. You've got to go looking for the ball, but equally you want to see a class example of how a whole team can work to bring a player in. You watch Australian women's sevens, their game plan is all geared around getting Maddie Levi onto the ball, but not just in space, on angles. When she cuts back in, just like we saw there on a switch, she is literally unstoppable.
Madison Levi, 22 years old. How bright is her career ahead of her, and she's already playing like this. She plays her rugby at Burraneer Bay back in Australia, and back in Down Under, it does tend to be sevens that really is their main focus for the rugby for the women. 15s really hasn't quite cut through yet, as Parky just gathers that ball out on the right hand wing, and it's still Australian ball. They lead now 19-0 in this rugby sevens quarter-final against Ireland, who are yet to fire a shot. And here's another star. It's Nathan flying away. She'll go straight under the post, and Ireland are just not showing up, Phil.
They're not, no. I mean, you alluded to it earlier, their pool game was far tighter than this, but they just, I personally haven't seen the best of them this tournament, which is a real shame, because like you say, on the World 7 Series, they took some real scalps and you could see them building and growing. I think they really have suffered from the fact they lost their captain, Lucy Mulhall-Rock. It was so sad to see her go off in that pool game against South Africa. She injured herself earlier this year and worked so hard to get back for the Olympics, and she's really key to them. She's their main playmaker, and I just don't think that they've really recovered, not only from losing her, but I just don't think they really started this tournament with full sort of speed.
feel a bit for the Irish out here at the moment. You really want to perform on the highest stage, but Australia just not giving them a chance at all. Australia finished second in the World Series earlier this season in the regular season, but then went on to snatch the grand final away from New Zealand. Everyone expected it would be the Black Ferns who had progressed. Now there's been a knock on there from the restart, so that will be the half, and what a commanding half it has been by Australia. They did 24 points to nil, mistakes by the Irish, and I tell you what, the Australians have just lapped it up, Phil.
Yeah, you know what, they can be absolutely ruthless when they can just sense that little bit of momentum. They just build on it, and they suffocate teams. You know, and Australia have got that full court game. We're seeing a lot of them in attack right now, but you know, don't underestimate them in defence. The hits that they put in just stifle the opposition's chance of getting any sort of momentum and speed into the ball. So they are looking in full control here. So Ireland, big team talk now at half time. They've got to try and get themselves back in this game literally within the next 60 seconds to 2 minutes. That's all they've got. If they don't get in it then Australia will run away with them.
Half-time score, Australian 24, Ireland 0. Kelly.
Sarah Orchard and Philippa Tattiet bringing you commentary of that match, and also earlier watching more disappointment for GB's women. Philippa, I wanted to ask you about it because Sarah's been describing how it's been a very disrupted build-up to these Olympics for Team GB's Rugby Sevens team. But there'll still be that sense of disappointment in not reaching any kind of playoff match.
Oh, absolutely, of course it will. And you know, you won't hear any of the players talking about the sort of roller coaster of a ride that they've had this year. They felt fully prepared and fully ready to take on their opportunities. But look, they had a change of coach at the beginning of the season. That's not ideal in an Olympic cycle. They've also lost their captain, Abby Brown, who's a fantastic playmaker for them. So, you know, they have had their issues, but equally, I think they had the players. Personally, I think they had the talent there to go one further than the quarterfinals. So they will be absolutely devastated, but hopefully it will make them have maybe a little bit look at the programme and see how we can support this Team GB moving forward.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting, won't it, what happens to the Team GB Sevens programme off the back of this Olympic Games, because ultimately they just don't have the same level of training hours and days that a lot of these teams on the circuit do have. But we're focusing here on 5 Live this evening on the Rugby Sevens. It is the last quarter final. It's Australia 26, Ireland 0. 7 minutes left to play for Ireland to pull off something really quite special and ultimately fire a shot in this second half. Australia, they did win the gold medal when they were in Rio. They were pipped to the post in Tokyo. They actually ended up finishing 5th there in the end, which shocked a lot of people. But they are back with a bang when it comes to France. But the penalty straight away goes to Australia, who are inside of their own half. And that was quite a surprising result in Tokyo for the Australians, Phil.
Oh, it really was, yeah, because I mean, you look all around that, the Commonwealth Games they've won, you know, Rio obviously they won, the Rugby World Cup Sevens they came second, but still they're always up there. So to get a 5th, that was a real shock. I mean, obviously you've got COVID in and around that, and that did impact on many of the teams' ability to train and travel, especially more so the Southern Hemisphere teams, but still, yeah, that was a real shock. But you do feel like they had a bit of a rejuvenation of the squad after that. You saw their coach, Tim Walsh, coming back in. He'd been with the Australian men, but he came back in to work with the women, and you feel like they've certainly put that behind them, and they are looking good this tournament.
Okay, real sad scenes in the Stade de France as we see Bevan Parsons having to limp off the field of play. Coming on in her place is Vicky Elms-Kinlan, but Bevan Parsons, to see her go off like that. Amy Lee Murphy-Crowe steals a lot of the headlines in the Sevens, but Bevan Parsons, she's a real workhorse, Phil.
Oh, she absolutely is, and she's as fast as Amy Lee Murphy-Crowe. You know, she's deceivingly quick, and she's been a real asset to this Irish Sevens team. I mean, luckily, you know, she is being supported, but you can see her putting weight on both feet. So, you know, we hope that maybe it's just a strain or a tweaked muscle and nothing too serious, but still a loss. You need her. She's a game changer, you know. Ireland are going to miss her now.
Okay, and here comes the star of the Australian side. It's Charlotte Caslick. She sets up so much her side. Why not give it to Madison Levis? This is the first time she's going to touch the ball and not score a try. She's still going. Eventually she does put the ball down, and it's Caslick who comes in with the distribution. A two-time World Sevens Player of the Year, Caslick, as she tries to find the ball out to Nathan. Already scored a try in this one. It's Australia 26, Ireland 0. As the ball comes away, back to Caslick once again. She runs, tries to find space. Going through now is Nasser. Really nice switch from the Australians, and the Irish, they just look tired. They're on Olympic debut and they are playing a seriously professional outfit, Australia, that now lead 31-0.
Yeah, they certainly do look a bit tired, don't they? But that's what Australia will do to you. They will pull you and push you, and they make you work so hard. Their skill set in regards to their passing ability is the best on the series, in my opinion. And they can cover the ground so quickly with the speed of ball and the width of ball that they can use. And as a defender, you're constantly moving left, right, back, and then you're making tackles. It is tiring stuff. And Australia just so composed, will wait until they see a bit of a weakness in the defence, and then they'll just bring in a runner, bring in a move, put in a step and expose it, just like they did there.
Conversion coming in by Tia Hines as well, and what a scoreline in the quarter-final now. There's still just under 5 minutes to go. Australia 33, Ireland 0. Now, a reminder that a little bit earlier, New Zealand were the first place to secure their place in those semi-finals. They won 55 points to 5 against China. So it's just proof that there is a bit of a gap between some of these sides at the moment. And as expected in this Olympic competition, you do just feel that Australia and New Zealand, they are just that step ahead of everyone else. Ireland have the ball, but they're inside of their own half, and it's a big penalty to give away there from Australia. As Ireland get the ball back, Phil?
Yeah, that's uncharacteristic as well from Australia. They're renowned for being some of the best disciplined teams, but maybe just a little bit of personal frustration there and a little bit of a one-on-one battle just gives that opportunity now for Ireland, and what it will mean to them to just get something on the board here.
As they just try and power through. It's Elms Kinlan who's on it at the moment as the ball gets pushed out towards the left-hand side of the field. Pass back inside. Emily Lane getting involved as well. Stacey Flood, again a name, she's a great footballer as well. If you see her out on the 15, she'll happily put the boot to ball. You don't see so much of that in sevens, such as the nature of the game. Big handoffs coming in once again by Elms Kinlan, but it's a loose ball at the back by Ireland, and it's just a little bit of execution that sometimes costs them. But now we get a breakaway by Eve Higgins. Is this an Irish moment to try and break something into that scoreboard? But no, Higgins is dragged down. It was Levi who was there, and then she gets to her feet. She does good ruck work as well. Somehow Ireland hold on to their ball. They are trailing 33-0 here with 3 minutes to go, but they need to hold on to some pride. They want some respect out of this scoreline. They need a score as it's spun out now. Amy Lee Murphy-Crowe gets it back to Higgins, who made the original break. Murphy-Crowe goes in once again, gathered this time, spun out to the far side. It's now Flood who can touch down in the corner, and she runs it in another couple of metres, so Ireland will get their try. This will all be in vain, but at least they have something on the board. Australia 33, Ireland 5.
And that's so important, isn't it? Like you say, just to get something on the board. They resort to a bit of old school Irish rugby there with some strong, hard carries, getting the ball flat to the gain line, but really good patience there to keep recycling that ball and finally getting it out to the edge where they've managed to create that overlap.
Just waiting for the conversion to go over now from the Irish. There'll be a lot of people on that pitch right now just trying to take in some oxygen as well, just as the way that sevens is played. And that one is good from the Irish, that takes their tally up to 7, but it's still just a slight dent on what Australia have done with their 5 tries. I have to say, a lot of the crowd have started filtering out inside of the Stade de France. That'll be because obviously that earlier match between Canada and France is over. As you can imagine, a lot of the crowd inside of the stadium tonight, they were all there to watch the home nation, and there will be disappointment that they're not through to those big matches tomorrow, the semis and the final. As from the restart, there's a little bit of a mistake out on the far side. We're going to restart with a line out. But still, the crowds inside of the stadium throughout the whole Sevens tournament, Philippa, have been absolutely brilliant. And the fact that people are turning out in the same numbers to watch the men's and the women's tournament is a testament to the game.
Oh, it absolutely is, and I think we've been treated to some of the most fantastic sevens. I follow the World Sevens series all around. Every sevens tournament I've watched, I'm a big fan, and I'm telling you, we have seen some of the most competitive games and some real individuals that you can just tell have peaked exactly at this right time. I mean, we're talking about Maddie Levi, and we're talking casually about how many tries she's scoring because we're used to it, but people around the world won't be used to how amazing she is. She's got a hat-trick in nearly every game so far, so she's absolutely, it's been brilliant so far, and I just can't wait to see how the rest of the tournament pans out.
Well, there's still a minute on the clock inside the stadium. Australia 33, Ireland 7, so it's just a matter of getting through this next minute really for the Irish. It's going to be a scrum. 3 women start packing down as this up on the big screens. They decide to actually hone in on one of the big Australian players, Shani Smale. If anyone's followed rugby for a while, her maiden name was Shani Williams. Big name not just in 15s but here in 7s as well, and one of the players that actually won a gold medal back in Rio alongside Charlotte Caslick, and hugely significant for this Australian side as eventually Ireland do break away from the scrum. Can they get something else out of this match? They're not going to be going through to those semi-finals as they just lose the ball forward there. I should remind you that tomorrow Great Britain will still be in sevens action, but they're going to be taking on China, because although the teams are out of contention now for those top placings, they still have to play for what's called the 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th placings matches. So there still will be 2 matches for GB tomorrow as Australia look to finish on a flourish here. Breakaway down the left-hand side of the field. It's Bien Tierta who's actually going to top that one down. And what a performance by the Australians. 6 tries in total. It's not going to be the same kind of scoreline as the New Zealanders, but they will be delighted with that, Philippa.
Oh, they absolutely will be, and as much as we haven't seen the best of Ireland, they are a very, very good team, so Australia would not have taken them for granted, with all due respect to China that New Zealand played against. China have only just got back into the World Sevens series, so they've been playing at much lower levels, so it's still a bit of a getting used to for them, and New Zealand completely exposed that. So still, I think for Australia, they've been ruthless this evening. They've scored in all manner of ways, and you look out for them.
Right, that is it. I don't think they're going to have time for the restart. We're just waiting for confirmation from the referee, but it looks like Australia have won this 39 points to 7. So Ireland, just like GB, they're going to have to go down into those placings matches now. But this is the quarter-final lineup in the women's rugby sevens. It will be New Zealand against the USA in the first semi-final. Then it will be Canada against Australia in the second. Full time then inside of the Stade de France. The conversion has gone through. It's Australia 40, Ireland 7.
But not necessarily based on this match, because we have to take into consideration the opposition and the match that Ireland played in this. But Australia have to be one of the favourites now for gold, haven't they? I think we've lost Philippa Tuttiett there. So let's check in on what's happening, and we can speak to Sarah Orchard. Sarah, Philippa's just dropped out there, but we were going to talk about Australia and their chances. Obviously, they will always come in as one of the favourites, but in terms of their performances, not necessarily in this match, which is what I was trying to ask Philippa about, because you have to take into account what Ireland contributed. But in terms of their performances all the way through, have they just consolidated their position as one of the favourites?
They really have, and as I alluded to in the commentary there, Kelly, you cannot in any way look away from the fact that both Australia and New Zealand, when it comes to the women's sevens, they are just a level ahead of all of the rest, and it has been like that from some time. France, we thought maybe could do something in this tournament. I think Canada have done really well to get through to those semi-finals and knock France out. USA can punch at times. Ireland have had their moments this year, but Philippa, you know better than anyone. Australia and New Zealand, they are the ones always that just rise to the top.
Yeah, they certainly are. I can't tell you how many cup finals I have commentated on and listened to the New Zealand anthem and the Australian anthem. It's pretty much every time, like you say, Sar. But I thought the one contender this time would be France. I was really hopeful for them, but you know what? You don't win multiple medals, which New Zealand and Australia have shared between them for so long, without a good reason. And they rise at these occasions. They thrive under this incredible crowd and this pressure that's put on them. And they are just showing they're still a cut above.
And it's a wonderful rivalry as well, we really have to say. In sport, yes, okay, it is nice sometimes when teams are all friendly off the pitch. I can tell you right now, Australia and New Zealand do not like each other. Philippa is laughing because she knows I'm right when I say this. They will be very polite, they'll be very nice, but we know deep down there is no love lost when they play each other, is there, Phil?
No, it has caused some spicy occasions at times. The series, you've got the players that are pretty much living out of one another's pockets all year round. They play in multiple tournaments all around the world. It's an amazing experience for the players. So look, they get along. But you know what the great thing is with those two teams is they play in contrasting styles as well. So it's always an awesome battle to see what kind of style is going to win on that occasion. You've got Australia, who are all about fitness, skill set and process. Hold on to the ball, grind down the team. You've got New Zealand, who've just got this fantastic natural ability for everyone to step, to shimmy, to put a bit of pace on, and they're far more reactional with their play. And you've seen sometimes Australia style wins, sometimes New Zealand wins, but it's always so hard to predict.
When it comes to that rivalry, I mean, Australia, they won a couple of titles on the World Series this year, Dubai and Cape Town, but it was New Zealand who really were in their pomp for the whole of this year. I think it was 4 titles they took home in the end, but when it came to the grand final in Madrid, out of nowhere, because Australia, I think they picked up about 4 knee injuries on the way to that final, Phil, somehow they managed to steal it.
Yeah, they did. They were on absolute fire in that tournament. And you've got to say as well, with New Zealand, they've been without their captain, Sarah Hirini, who by some miracle is back playing in this tournament because she had a nasty ACL injury in December. And if you ask anyone who's been through the ACL process, it's a minimum 8 months recovery before you can play. She's bang on 8 months and she is playing in an Olympics and she is on fire. So absolutely incredible to see her back.
The Australian team at the moment have gone over to this large silver bell that they have inside of the Stade de France, and they've been ringing it. I actually don't know the significance of it at the moment. To me, you ring a bell for last orders at the bar, but I doubt that's where they're going right now. But they've had their photo taken with the bell, and now they're slowly making their way out. It's nearly completely emptied inside the Stade de France. Everyone's starting to make their way home, but still one more day of the 7 still to go, and there will be medals up for grabs.
Well, listen, if they're ringing the bell for last orders, I think it's probably time to let you two go. Thank you very much to Sarah Orchard and to Philippa Tuttiett bringing us all the very latest from the Rugby Sevens. It was disappointment today for GB. They will play again, but it's for those 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th playoff places. It's been a really huge day of action for Team GB with 5 medals, 2 of them gold, one of them in the team event in equestrian with Laura Collett, Tom McEwen and Ross Cantor winning it in team eventing. Their first gold medal in the day came in the equestrian team eventing, and also Laura Collett got a bronze medal in individual eventing. There was a silver medal for Adam Burgess in the men's canoeing. There was a silver medal for Tom Daly and Noah Williams in the 10 metres diving, and gold for Tom Pidcock on mountain biking. So Team GB's first of those medals of the day, the first gold and of the games, came earlier this afternoon. It came in the equestrian team eventing.
It's gold for Britain! Laura Collett has anchored Great Britain to their gold medal in Versailles, and it's Britain's first gold at the Paris Games.
That was Sonia McLaughlin with the commentary. Tom McEwen, Ross Cantor and Laura Collett took gold. Collett later took bronze, as we said, in the individual eventing. And Sonia spoke to the team after the medal ceremony.
Well, there's no words. You can't explain what it was like just walking into that arena, even just before the show jumping round, let alone then doing the medal ceremony. So, we lapped it up, and I was just saying to Chris that it's a shame we can't bottle those emotions up and carry them with us for all our bad days, because that's why we do it.
Now, look, you anchored the team to the gold medal. Just how proud to have successfully defended the title that you won in Tokyo?
Oh, it's a plan. It's been a plan in the making for the last 3 years. I know myself and Tom were lucky enough to be on the team together in Tokyo, and from the moment we stood on that podium with no spectators waving at empty stands, we said to ourselves, the dream is to come back and be able to do it with all our friends and family and supporters here. So to have actually done it, plans with horses never really come off, but it's happened, and genuinely just still feel like we're just living in a dream world.
Now, Ros Cantor's been taken away to doping, I think, but a little word for her, Tom, because she was reserve in Tokyo. She's had the individual disappointment here with the penalty across country, but yet to come out here and to help this team to gold. What about her?
Yeah, I must say, in Tokyo she was our team member. It made no difference whether it was on paper or not. She was 100% part of our team, and she was incredible. And this week, as we know, she's badminton champion, she's European champion, she's our third team member to go around, and she pulled out an amazing performance for dressage, cross country and show jumping. She is she's a 1 in a million person. She's an awesome person to be on a team with, and she really helps sort of like bond us all together. We've got on really well, all 4 of us, all week, so it's been amazing, to be honest.
And Laura, you've got these 2 medals resplendent around your neck, team gold, individual bronze. How proud of the way London 52 has handled himself here?
Oh, I have no words for that horse. He's my horse of a lifetime. What he's done for so many years now, I keep saying he owes me absolutely nothing, and he comes out year after year and just makes more dreams come true. I don't think I could have ever actually dreamed of winning an individual Olympic medal, so he's gone beyond my wildest dreams.
Oh, there have been some fantastic moments today in the Olympics, including those 5 medals for Team GB. 2 of them gold, the team medal in eventing, and a gold for Tom Pidcock in the mountain biking after an incredibly dramatic finish there. Laura Collett taking the bronze in individual eventing, silver for Adam Burgess in the men's canoe, and Tom Daly taking part in his 5th Olympics with a silver medal alongside Noah Williams in the 10 metres diving. Busy day coming up for us tomorrow as well. Lots to look forward to, including the women's team gymnastics. That means an appearance for Simone Biles. Becky Downey's back in the British team for her 3rd Olympics, so we'll be focusing on her as well. And then again, there's a real chance of gold for Team GB in the pool tomorrow. The men's 4x200 metres freestyle relay. They won the Olympic title in Tokyo, the world title in 2023. So Tom Dean, James Guy, Matt Richards and Duncan Scott all line up. That relay starts about 9 o'clock tomorrow evening, and there's a couple of other big medal races taking place in the pool as well. Andy Murray's back in action in the men's doubles. That should be midway through tomorrow afternoon, depending on how it goes beforehand. There's more dressage as well. Moving on from the eventing onto dressage, you'll be able to follow that. The freestyle BMX begins as well. There's more canoeing. GB's men are in action in the hockey, and there's also going to be some shooting as well, where there's an opportunity for a medal for Team GB. Plus, of course, all the unexpected moments that we get every single day here at the Olympics. Join us for all of that. It all gets underway from 10 o'clock with Naga Manchetti, but it's time now for the BBC News with Dan Maudsley.